Howdy, gang, and welcome to yet another Apples and Oranges. Shortly here, I'm going to be adding TJ and Chris on here to discuss the Burning versus Madman. Hey, Blissful. And we're going to get into that here shortly, but just wanted to let you guys and gals know what's coming up here for the rest of the week. Now, I will be premiering a new stream or new show, whatever you want to call it, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be titled I Know What You Shot on Video. And I'm going to be covering all things shot on video films from the 80s into the early 90s. And I see TJ's in both places at once. He's going to be on camera with me, as Chris will be as well, but he's also in the chat. And we got apples and oranges in the chat too. So Friday will be a double dose of me and a single dose of Candace, but that doesn't mean she's any less important, right? She's very important. So I will be doing another Terror Time tea at around 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Hey, Sticky Gummy Bear. I'm going to shorten that a little bit. um, but So I will be covering a couple of movies and having a cup of tea, maybe a snack. I don't know, but I definitely will be having some tea as I discuss a couple of movies. And then me and Candace at 1 p.m. Eastern Time will be having our first ever taste test. We're going to be picking 2 or 3 or possibly 4 different items that we can either eat or drink that we've never tried before. So we're going to be trying these on camera. So that should be fun. Hopefully the stuff I picked, I'm not going to be spitting out all over the place. So I won't give that away because I want y'all to be surprised come Friday. And so Saturday and Sunday will be the return of the movie munchies and the watch alongs if all goes well. So Deliverance is going to be the film for the watch along Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Sundays will be Southern Comfort. That also takes place at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The movie munchies, I still don't know what I'm going to do. So that's going to be a surprise, I guess, for you guys and gals. I haven't picked anything yet. So that's what's coming up for the rest of the week. And now, without further ado, I'm going to add my guest here. So I'm going to add TJ. Hey, TJ.
Hi, Dana. How's it going?
Pretty good. Was anybody else off for Juneteenth? I didn't get off for Juneteenth. So Steve got off for Juneteenth, lucky dog. So,
Yeah, Uncle Bill did, but CK didn't.
That's nice.
I guess it depends on how deep south you are and how. I'm not going to say it. You know what I'm thinking.
I'm going to behave myself tonight.
Not CK specifically where he lives, I'm talking.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to go ahead and add Chris here. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dana, how's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I actually was off today for Juneteenth.
Oh, you lucky dog. You're in the same boat as Steve.
Yeah, I was, I live in in the area that TJ was referring to as well. But yeah, we were lucky to be, but the thing is though, with my job, it is a government based position.
Wow.
So, I get off for that. I get off for Christmas, Thanksgiving, like President's Day, Martin Luther King Day, all kinds of different, and I get paid for it on those days too. So I'm getting paid today and not having to work. So that's great.
I got a lot of those days when I worked for the library system because when you work for the library, at least when you work for the library in Louisville, that is considered a government job. So I got off for a lot of those, but I get off for the big holidays now working for Smile Doctors. I get off Christmas
Hey,
Eve, Thanksgiving, stuff like that. But don't get Martin Luther King Day off. Don't get President's Day off because those are big production days for
um,
Smile Doctors. Because the reason why is because parents are off from work. So guess what? They want to bring their kids in to get them set up with braces at Smile Doctors. So
and I want to ask, do I sound all right? I've been having some issues with this mic here lately, so I just want to know if I sounded all right.
you sound okay to me. TJ sound okay to you? Or okay, he's got the thumbs up. So I guess we're good on that. So let's just kick this right off, shall we? And we'll talk about the burning first. TJ's got his. I've got my 4K of the burning. I know it doesn't really matter because we're not going to be watching them. And the 4K of Madman. TJ's got that one too.
I don't
I've
have
got a
4K of The Burning, so
I don't have any Blu-rays or 4Ks of either of those. I do have the DVD of The Burning, the one that TJ showed,
Hmm.
and I do have two different copies of Madman on DVD. One was, I think, the Code Red released, and the other one was I'm not sure what the other one was. It's the one that TJ showed there, I believe. Yeah, who released that, TJ?
Does Anchor
uh,
Bay do that?
Anchor Bay, yeah.
Anchor Bay. That's okay. That's what I was thinking. I just wasn't 100% on that, but yeah, I have that one too.
That one was out of print when I bought it. I bought it like way after. Like
A lot of that Anchor Bay stuff nowadays is like really sought after. Not like the ones that were like got like multiple different releases and stuff like that. Like the Burning, like they re-released that through Screen Factory and but just there's several ones out there that Anchor Bay released back in the heyday that they still have not re-released on any kind of format. So yeah,
Mhm.
those are really sought after.
Well, I thought what we would do is just kind of give, if you can think back way, way back to when you first saw the burning, that might be
when
kind
I first saw it, forget that. I don't remember
of
2 weeks
okay.
ago.
Well,
I mean,
let's see.
remember 10 years ago. What are you crazy?
Maybe not the first time you saw it, but maybe a little bit more recent, TJ. Would that be all right?
Okay,
Okay. So, kind of like initial thoughts on it. Uh, and if you can remember where you were or how you watched it the first time around, like if you knew what format you watched it in, or which was probably either, I'm not trying to date us or anything, but it could be VHS, it could be DVD, possibly, um, and just give a overall kind of general what you saw of the burning, and then once we do that, we'll go the same route with Madman, and I'm gonna let my guest go first, so I guess I'll pick TJ since he's well
I'm up
this
here.
way.
Chris is
Yeah,
down there. Is that
yeah,
clock? What? No, I don't know. Whatever.
but
All right, I'll go first.
so take it away, TJ.
Yeah. Let's see. So I remember reading about it in a back issue of Fangoria. So I knew about the raft scene, and I kind of knew what to expect. And I think the first time I saw it was on cable. Um, so none of those are going to date me because you can't figure out any of those ones. Um, and I watched it. I don't remember really. I liked it.
Mhm.
I liked the effects. Um, I knew a lot of the actors because by then I had seen a bunch of them by that point. Um, even Lee Ayres, I knew who she was for some reason. I don't know why. Jason Alexander, Larry Joshua,
Fisher Stevens.
yeah, what's her name?
Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter.
Yeah. There were a lot of.
Who Bobby Joe from? And just throwing out random trivia. Bobby Joe from Evil Dead 2 was supposed to be. Well, they wrote it with Holly Hunter in mind, and then
Cassie DePaiva, I think is her name.
That's who ended up playing her. Yeah.
Also, for some weird trivia, I know one of the girls who played Annie on Broadway is in it. The redhead girl in The Burning she was one of the.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that.
She was one of the early Annies. Shelley Bruce. I remembered her name. I didn't have to look it up. Okay.
She was Shelley Bruce. Wasn't she Tiger in The Burning?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see in the baseball scene and I mean, it was a horror movie. It was a slasher movie. I was watching any slasher movie I could find at the time. It fit right in there with the Friday the 13th, and I don't know if I definitely saw Madman after, but I think I don't know how early I saw The Burning, but I saw The Burning. I mean, we're not comparing them right now, but just in general, it's a good slasher movie. Not the greatest movie ever, because not everything, nothing's the greatest really. I mean, I don't have any at this point right now. I don't have any anecdotes or anything else. But
okay. Well, if you think of any, TJ, just jump right in there. And
the acting is better than the Madman. I'm going to compare that right there. The acting is better.
Yeah, I can say that right off. That I feel like the acting's better in The Burning than Madman. Chris, do you wanna go next and talk? I'll save myself for last since you guys are my guests.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm trying to remember the first time I ever watched The Burning. I know that it was later on because I didn't see it until it was released on DVD. But I had always been aware of it. I'd had many people tell me about it over the years, and and there were even times that I knew people that talked about it as I was growing up. And this was before the internet or anything like that. But I know that kids I went to school with it also like horror movies, and I remember that was one of my friends, Brandon, who I'm still friends with to this day. He said that his dad had rented it or something, and I actually talked to him about this not too long ago because we were talking because he still loves that movie this day too. I remember going to my local video store and after he told me about it and just always seeing it on the shelf and I was kind of I wasn't sure about it because sometimes my friend Brandon, he would watch movies that was very questionable to me. So I was kind of very kind of weary to rent it and be I don't know. I was I see this guy back here with garden shears in the background, but it's a man, a woman, I don't know. This feels like a love story mixed with a horror movie or something. So I went forever without seeing. I never rented it on tape, but when it came out on DVD, I was oh yeah, I remember, this movie now, people talking about it. So I said, you know what? I said, I've never seen this, but I'm going to go ahead and pick it up and watch. So I bought the DVD when it came out. And, after my first watch of it, instantly loved it because as I've said before on here, I have a huge infatuation with horror films that are based around summer camps. Whether it be the Friday the 13th films, would it be Sleepaway Camp, The Burning, also, Madman. There's several others out there. And what's interesting about The Burning and Madman, since we're covering both of those tonight, is they were, I believe, in production around the same time. and they were both going to use like the whole campfire legend, Cropsey legends. But the burning took that first, I'm pretty sure. So that's why Madman had to change like their whole title character into like Madman Mars. Um, but it's very interesting knowing that, because I don't know if you knew that or not, Dana, and that's why you want to like kind of cover both of these. But if not, that's a really big coincidence. um, and but yeah, like I really love that they both kind of like are surrounded by this campfire tale, at the summer camps of like what about each character, whether it be Madman Mars or it be Cropsey. And both of those characters were kind of like done wrong in a
Mm.
way to where they are just out to get their revenge. And in the burning in this case, like he was just, I guess, just like this asshole counselor or whatever his job title was that the kids just got
He was, what was he, a
Caretaker.
caretaker?
caretaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the kids, just wanted to like pull this prank on him and stuff. And but it kind of got out of hand. And he like all burned up and everything, and so he lived through that. So he's like, I want to go back to camp and kill these kids. But yeah, I mean, I just love. I think a lot of people when they talk about the burning, one of the first things that comes up is that raft scene,
Mhm.
and I think that's the biggest takeaway for a lot of people when it comes to the burning is the raft scene, because it's iconic in its own way, and it's like just it's just a scene where Cropsy just goes ape shit basically, and that's the biggest kill scene in the entire film.
Oh, yeah.
Because nothing, and that's like somewhere around like halfway through the movie, and then nothing really tops that
Mhm.
after that in the movie. I mean, while I do like, but I still love the movie regardless, because it's interesting because it is this in the time that it came out, and with slasher films in general, a lot were using the same formula of having like a final girl. And this, it's just like two guys pretty much. And there's Alfred and I can't think of the other guy's name, but they're the ones that's taking on Cropsy in the end, and it doesn't. There's no hints or anything in the way it ends. Is the way like there's going to be there's going to be a sequel to this. There's nothing that sets that up, and I love that. Like now, while I do like love horror franchises like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, stuff like that, I also do love like just solo horror films that just stay as they are. They don't have any kind of sequels or remakes or anything like that. Um, and and I think that The Burning is really one of the better slashers of the 80s, in my opinion. But I think it doesn't get the credit it deserves, because a lot of when it came out, it kind of took on the same role as what the Friday the 13th movie were putting out, and like you said, there a lot of people were kind of like comparing it to Friday the 13th, saying it was a ripoff of Friday the 13th. Um, but I am glad to see that it has gained a good following over
Oh, yeah.
the last several years. And Lou David, who played Cropsy, will be at Horror Hound Weekend in September.
I
Uh,
know.
and so I'm really excited about meeting him and talking to him about the film.
I wanna go up and meet that guy because
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
always wanted to meet him, so there's gonna be my opportunity. I'm gonna come home broke, probably.
Yeah, same.
Um, well, I'm like Chris about the VHS of The Burning, but I did end up eventually renting it. Um, but I was just like Chris, I saw this cover of this couple embracing in a lake, and I
Yeah,
was like, it just never really caught my eye. But one day, I picked it up and actually flipped it over on the back where I could read what it was about. And I was like, whoa, this sounds like this might be right up my alley, you know. And so I took it home and I watched it, and I was just absolutely hooked. Now, I will agree that the raft scene is the big that's the
Yeah.
big scene in that. That's the hero scene, I guess you would call it, because that's the one that everybody talks about when they talk about the burning.
Mhm.
But there are some other kills in here that I really enjoy. Like, for instance, when Glazer is killed, the camp bully, basically, he is like,
I love that guy too.
The 36-year-old bully
yeah,
from a camp. Yeah.
but he's actually, kind of speared and like he's carried, and it's a very, it's very painful if you can, put yourself right into the movie and imagine that that guy is being speared with these shears and just carried and then slammed up against a tree. I mean, that's
Wild.
pretty hardcore.
It's wild for sure.
And the girl that goes skinny dipping with the guy, and then she doesn't want to have sex with him, so he gets real mad at her, and she leaves. She's trying to find her clothes. Her clothes are scattered all over the place. And then all of a sudden, the shears come out, and she's just basically eviscerated, and her throat slit. And so, very bloody movie. If you don't want to see blood, you don't want to watch The Burning. Now, there are some people that say that the raft scene's the only thing this movie's got going for it. I would disagree with that because you've got likable characters. I liked all those characters. Even
Yeah.
Glazer had some sort of charm, like a nasty charm to him, but you like to see them getting revenge on Glazer. Um, he got pushed into the lake. The girls pushed him into the lake. He gets uh, hit in the butt with a pellet gun.
You see his ass. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't need to see his ass, but
Madman, you see some ass too.
yeah,
The hot tub scene. Anyway, yeah.
yeah,
But
you
I
do.
do agree, Dana. Like I love really all the characters in this. It's like, whether it be, even the bullies. Like Glazer is probably one of the best characters, honestly, in the whole movie. Uh, and I really like. I can't think. I think his name is Brian something. He also he was played Alfred, which he was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High as well.
Yeah,
And
Brian Backer, I believe is his name.
I know, and a lot of people point out Jason Alexander in this, but only other thing I really know of Jason Alexander is, I think he's in that movie Shallow Hal with Jack Black, and he's in Seinfeld, which I'm not a fan of Seinfeld at all. But I really enjoyed, like, just maybe I'm biased, and it's just how I feel about it because, like I said, I have a deep infatuation with like slashers that are based around summer camps. And because I feel the same way, about like the Friday 13th films, whether it be all the characters in those or all the characters in the sleepaway camp films, I just really like think they all have their own kind of charm to them. And I was watching a review here recently that our friend Rambo Raff did a few years ago on The Burning.
Uh-huh.
And he mentioned something in his review that I did not even realize who was the editor on The Burning. Do you know?
The editor on The Burning. Ah, crap. I doubt I'll see it on.
So the editor was actually Jack Shoulder of
Oh, yeah.
Wall Street Part 2 and Alone in the Dark fame. I mean, yeah, he went on to direct both of those films, but he was the editor for The Burning, which was very interesting because I did not know that until about a couple of days ago when I watched Rambo's review of that. And that's he did that like I think 2019 or something when he did that review. But like I was like, wow, I never knew that because I love Not Running on Street Part 2 and Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, I
Yes,
do too.
Jack Shoulders, he's a great director. Even though I heard some like stories about him, like kind of giving, I guess, Mark Patton a hard time
I was
whenever.
gonna say, don't ask Mark Patton about him.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think they're good now because like I went to a FrankenCon show in Knoxville, I think a year or two ago. I think it was the first one they did a couple years ago, and they Joe Bob and Darcy were there, but set up beside of them were Mark Patton, Kim Myers, and Jack Shoulder from Nightmare 2. And I didn't go up and talk to them or anything, but I did see Mark Patton and Jack Shoulder like having friendly conversations throughout the day that I was there. So I guess they're good now. I don't know. I don't really care about people's personal business anyway. But yeah, like sorry to get off track there, Dana. I just wanted to
Oh, no, that's fine.
that because I do love all the characters, and also, Tom. I'm a big Tom Savini mark too. So,
Well,
he did,
I am. No matter what anybody. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion about Tom Savini. I'm not saying that, but I still like his effects work.
but
I think his effects work stands
I
on
thought
it.
it was fantastic, and I thought at the beginning of the burning when. When Cropsey is on fire, I thought that's a really good burn effect too. So, to say that the only thing you could take away from the burning is the raft scene, I mean, it's your opinion. That's cool, but like personally for me, I call bullshit on that because there's a lot in this film that is awesome.
Right, exactly. Um, so
Also, they kill kids. They don't. The
they,
Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah, that's
The Friday the
always the
13th movies
first
didn't
thing
do
I
that
look for in
till.
films.
yeah, that's hardcore too, killing kids. You don't
Yeah.
see that often. You
Yeah,
see it occasionally, but
TJ would be going to the video stores back in the day and be like, "Do you know if this movie has kids getting killed in it or not?" And they're like, "If it's a no, I'm not renting it."
I didn't talk to anybody. I just grabbed it off the shelf and I went up there and got scanned and left. I didn't even talk to anybody. I went to a video store where they didn't even ID you. You could get any movies you wanted.
oh really?
Yeah, that's how
getting these DVDs and stuff, and it's like I should have been rented these things at that age.
My local video store was the same way. You could rent anything. They didn't give a damn. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure, bring it back on Monday."
Yeah.
5-year-old Chris would go in there. I want to get this slasher movie. Okay.
Well, let me tell you
You
something.
reach the counter, they'd rent you anything. Yeah.
There was a video store when I was growing up. It was about 10 minutes from my house. It was called Stage One Video. It was in Martin, Kentucky. And when you walked up these like rickety steps that looked like they were like 50 years old and they're going to fall apart to try to get up in. And like the video store itself was in like a double wide trailer. So you go in and like they just had shelves built all around the thing, like tapes and all the movies, and then like you see that, and then like straight ahead after you go through the door, there is like a room with these like dangly beads hanging
Oh, I
down.
know the dangly bead.
Okay, so you know what that is. So, and again, like I said, this was a video store where they didn't care what you rented. And if anybody doesn't get that the dangly beads room was all porn. So, so yeah, that the people that read it was on one of those mom and pop type video stores, and they didn't really pay attention to it because it was kind of one of those deals where like you have the box sitting on the shelf, and behind the box is the tape in like a clear plastic case. So you just grab the tape in the clear plastic case and you just take it up to the counter, and they don't pay attention to what's on it, what tape it is. They just like see it as like okay, and they like put it down in their system, or they didn't even have a system, but they didn't have computers or anything when they were doing those. So they were just I guess just writing down like I guess serial numbers or something. I don't know how they did it. I never ran a video store, so I don't know. But yeah, you could get away with a lot back then.
Ask Tarantino. He worked in the store. He knows how to.
Yeah, he did used to.
I like you getting so many people on the stream and they're all getting blocked.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well. we're just gonna carry on. And
I was just laughing.
oh, I know.
It's just funny. It's like, okay.
So I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the genius that is Madman. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just saying there are some funny things with Madman.
Beware the Madman Mars. Got a
But
theme song like My
yeah,
Bloody Valentine, so that's a
yeah,
That
yeah.
is
Although
surprising.
I'll be totally honest, I don't think it's as good of a theme song as My Bloody Valentine.
yeah, but it's like it
It's all right.
fits the
It's
movie and
catchy.
all that.
Yeah, I did like the Madman theme song that they came up with. I do like Madman in general. Now that was one that I had not heard of. Actually, I don't remember seeing the tape of it until like I didn't like I said I didn't see the movie until it came out on I guess DVD back in whatever year that came out. Anchor Bay put that out. Um, but I mean, I don't like it as much as I like The Burning,
Right.
but I still do appreciate it for what it is because, like I said, it is another one of those camp slasher movies, and the killer in it is actually really cool looking. It's got really good makeup effects on him, appliances.
Hatchet ripoff.
Hatchet did rip this movie. It did rip off Madman.
A lot. He's like a ghost, and it's
Yeah, it. But at the same time, I also like Hatchet. And I think Dana didn't do it this week, but that was one of the movies she was going to cover on Everybody Who Wants England.
I'm gonna cover it next week, though.
And I did rewatch it last week actually, both it and 2001 Maniacs. But I'll get into that whenever you do that stream, man. So I'm excited to talk about those. But yeah, like TJ said, it is a ripoff. Hatchet is a ripoff of
I hadn't thought about
homage.
it until y'all brought it up. Nah, it's an outright ripoff.
But also, that's another thing. Madman is another one of those films that some people out there see it as a ripoff of Friday the 13th. And they may have felt the same way about Sleepaway Camp, but I feel like Sleepaway Camp is a little bit different because it has one of the more interesting twists of the 80s slashers.
Definitely.
So they definitely didn't steal that from anybody.
Hey,
I didn't say anything bad about it.
No, I'm not speaking ill of it. I'm just
It's
saying.
just some of the dumbest characters I've ever seen, and not as dumb as Barbarian, but
no,
they're pretty like
I like Barbarian. Oh.
Yeah, like the.
Okay,
I liked it too. I was just saying that the character. That doesn't mean the characters weren't stupid.
I mean,
that was probably they were supposed to be, but still, it was just like even the main character. She's smart, but she's still stupid. Like.
Didn't Barbarian have Justin Long on it? If it did, then I liked that movie until
yeah, Justin Long's in there. I love Justin Long.
But he's playing this character you're not supposed to like. He's perfect in this role.
Right.
I mean, it's.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody else could have played that character.
I love all of Justin Long's horror films. He's worked on would it be Jeepers Creepers or Tusk or or whatever. Like, and he's a super cool guy. Me and Candace actually got to meet him at a Horror Hound back in like 2019, I think. And he only done like a few shows. I haven't seen him do any more conventions since that. But super, super nice guy. I actually talked about with him about his character in Zach and Miri Make a Porno. I don't know if you've ever seen that with Dana, but
I haven't seen it. I know the title though.
But yeah, Justin Long's in that, and he's like this gay porn director in the film, and he's hilarious in that movie. If you've never seen it, you got to check it out.
I'll have to check that out. I mean, who knows? Steve may have it on a hard drive somewhere. So
that was before Politically Correct started. That movie. That was like that might have been right on the cusp of that.
TJ, do you want to? I don't know if you remember the first time you saw Madman or.
I don't remember what format I saw it on, but I remember. I think that's around the time I discovered Dead Pit, and I had already watched it, and they started talking about it, and that's why I got hooked on Dead Pit, is because they like the movie that I saw before, and I was like, oh, these guys are pretty cool, and yeah, I can't remember my first. I rewatched it earlier today.
uh,
That's why I was like, the way these characters just doing the dumbest things, and also it sort of reminds me. This came out. So The Burning came out early 81, around the same time Friday the 13th Part 2 came out, which I can see why there are comparisons with Friday the 13th, just because there's there's not really a similar. I think Madman and Burning are more similar than Friday the 13th in those two movies, because there's the whole there's the kid that's sort of the outcast. Well, even the kid in Madman, he's not necessarily an outcast, but he stays behind and he's exploring. But they have these two characters in each movie where they sort of get lost and they come across the killer, and then they're trying to find them. So that's eerily weird that's plot is in both movies, and Madman came out later in 81, I think around October.
right.
So, but productions is different than when the movie came out. They've all probably filmed these things the year before, anyways, regardless of when they came out. But I just thought, yeah, that was I was like, yeah, this is sort of like Alfred and The Burning is sort of like, I forget the kid in Madman. And
That
then
what you talking about Richie? The
Richie,
one
right there. But yeah, the counselors were just kind of like that. The brown haired girl with the frizzy hair. She's an idiot. She sees there's the part where she sees Madman carrying a body without a head. She screams and goes to her boyfriend, and he's like, "Oh, it's probably nothing." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And it's like she goes back like she just didn't see anything, and so she's sitting in the car just like da da da. And then we see the head, and she goes out and she has to look at the head. Also, early when she sees Madman with the body, she screams. And it's like, you see, it's this big hulking guy dragging a body.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you scream? I get she's scared, but that was so stupid. And then when she's escaping him, and he's right behind her.
Yeah.
And she's throwing stuff out of the refrigerator and goes in the refrigerator. Does she really think he didn't just see all that happen? That's what I'm like.
That was the dumbest hiding.
Dumbest character.
But to be honest, that's actually my favorite part in the movie. Which
is it as ridiculous
because that girl that I can't think of her her character's name, because that's one of the things for me is the characters are not super memorable in Madman to me.
That's
but that one in particular, that girl, the way her acting comes across in the film is so over the top, and the screams and everything. She just the facial features she puts out is not scary in any way. It's hilarious to me, but I think that's a part of its charm. Honestly, is why I like that, because a lot of bad movies were made in the 80s. Not saying that Madman was a bad movie, but I'm just saying that there were bad movies that were put out that, particularly horror films that were bad movies, but they still have charm to them. You can have fun watching those, and I think that's the whole point of Joe Bob's Last Drive-In and all the shows he's done. He showed a lot of movies that are really crappy, but they're fun to watch, and especially with friends, and you can point stuff out, and just they're a good time. And Madman is like that at points, like how TJ was referring to about like how, the chick sees him like walking with his body with no head, and she goes back and tells her boyfriend, "The girl's probably not." Like, oh, okay. So yeah, there's plot holes there
Yeah.
that they don't use any logic. They just kind of drop like, oh yeah, it's probably nothing. but that to me in itself is hilarious, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like the movie. And I think it has a cult following too, because a lot of people have perceptions of films like that. While they're not necessarily the best film in the world, they're always going to be fun to watch. And like I said, though, that the scene where she goes into the refrigerator, it's just, I'm like, I don't know, that feels like it's genius to me, because like but it's dumb at the same time.
Yeah.
Because
If he wasn't right behind her, I would have liked. But
yeah, I'm sorry, it's so funny. But yeah,
Well, I'll tell you the most bizarre scene, and it's not the hot tub scene. It's that scene where all the counselors are laying down on the floor, and one's laying one way and one's laying the other. It's just a very weird. Who would ever think of doing that? Just laying like that and talking.
that's like something you see like in an '80s coming of age movie where all the friends are out on an adventure and they decide to look up,
Yeah,
up
that
under the
would make more
stars. That's
sense.
what it looked like in, I don't know, not it wasn't in the Goonies, but it's like that kind of that feel. And by the way, when I say something like the character's stupid, I'm not like saying I hate it because of that. I just
yeah,
it's so
No, you
ridiculous.
can
That,
actually
like Chris was
like it.
saying, you enjoy stuff like that, and I was like,
mhm.
like I've said, I think I've said this before. I was watching a show with a friend years ago, and I was just yelling at the characters because of what things they were doing. And he's like, "Well, if you don't like the show so much, why are you watching it?" I was like, "I love this show. I didn't say I didn't." I'm just
Yeah, I
being,
totally get what you're saying, TJ, because like I've had people like have the same thing with me, like they think that I hate something when I don't. I actually love it. But it's just the way, like, I guess I choose the wrong words that they don't necessarily understand. That because they may have that perception that I'm shitting on it or something. But no, it's just I guess you just kind of have to have that type of personality, like, because I completely got that from you. So I was like, oh yeah, I was like,
thank
I know what he's doing. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because there's people on YouTube making a living talking about watching a movie and talking about it and saying things, whether it's good or bad. They just and
Exactly.
Mhm. Um, Chris, did you have anything that you wanted to add about it or talk about, like the first time you saw it or anything like
Like I said, the first time I ever saw it was on DVD. I don't ever remember seeing it on at the video store or anything growing up. But yeah, like I said, I do love that movie. I do love Madman, but not as much as I love The Burning. So,
that? Mhm.
I know there's other people that have different opinions on that. But it's just, I don't know. It's just like I've said in the past, it's all personal preference, with anything. And just, um, nothing's really going to change my mind on that, because I've seen both of these movies on several different occasions, and I mean, my mind's pretty made up by now how I feel about them. I don't see how they would change
Change.
unless, like, Paul Ellers came up and was like, "Listen, I'll give you $1 million if you like Madman more than The Burning," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, man." And then that would probably change my mind, but no. But realistically, like, I think my mind's pretty made up, like, on that. And then one other thing I wanted to say about Madman is kind of the legacy of it, as far as like some of the actors are involved. Galen Ross, who was Alexis Dubin, cast as, that was her credit in
Still don't
Madman.
know why. No one's ever figured that one out.
So yeah, and for years she like avoided anything to do with Madman. She wouldn't sign anything. She didn't want to talk about it. Um, and I don't get that, because it's not like such a terrible movie that you don't
No.
want, but again, that could be a personal thing with her. Maybe she felt embarrassed being a part of it. But I know that's not the case now because she happily embraces Madman now that she knows she's making money from it. Not to talk shit about her because I love Galen Ross. Dawn of the Dead is my favorite horror film of all time. But yeah, she happily will sign anything from Madman now. I don't know what all of a sudden changed her mind, but yeah. So that's an odd thing to me.
She's one of the better actors out of everybody in the movie. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, because I, you recognize her too. If you had seen Dawn of the Dead previously, I mean, that's her right away. But if you're not like too like knowledgeable about the film industry and how some people will change their names from time to time, and that can be confusing to some. It's like, hey, I know her. She's from Dawn of the Dead. That's Galen Ross. But why is she credited as Alexis Dubin? That is really confusing. And because because this came out after Dawn of the Dead came out in 78 and this came out I think in 81 maybe 80, 81
yeah,
82 something
October of
like
'81.
that. So yeah, it's just a very strange thing, and like I said, she avoided anything to do with the film for years, but in the past, I want to say about 3 to 4 years or something like that, I know that she has started doing signings of different merchandise from the film, and she does sign Alexis Dubin on any kind of Madman stuff. So yeah, might want anybody that wants to meet her and get Madman stuff signed, take advantage of that because she could
You
change her
can do
mind
that
again.
now. Yeah. Well, I discovered Madman. This is going to be a kind of a weird way to this. Well, I guess not maybe a weird way, but I didn't hear about it by word of mouth or anything like that. I was merely looking through a book of horror movie reviews and I came across one for this movie, Madman. And I was like, well, this sounds like it might be interesting. It was a slasher I hadn't seen. So I ended up going to this place is not open anymore. And that was the exact copy that I got, TJ, first time around. Um, I went to a place called Waxworks, and I don't know if anybody else had a Waxworks in their neck of the
I know
woods.
you've talked about it before. You said your dad used to go there a lot, and that's where you said that. I think that's where the place you said he went to, and he saw the poster for Sleepaway Camp 2 and rented part 2 and part 3.
Well,
Is that?
that was actually, when he got that, he went to the Quick Pick,
Oh,
uh,
okay, okay.
but that's okay, that not a big deal, um, but, so I ended up having my dad take me to Waxworks to see if they had this movie, and I finally walked over to the counter and I said, "Do y'all have Madman?" And they said, "Well, let's see if we've got it in their inventory. They are in our inventory." They didn't find it in their inventory, but they said, "We can order it for you." And they showed me the title. They said, "Is this the one?" And I read the little blurb for it. I said, "Yeah, that's the one." They said, "Okay, well, we'll have it for you in a week. We'll call you when it's ready to pick up." So they did, and I went and I picked it up, and I was working the evening shift at the library. So I took advantage of that and watched a little bit of Madman before I actually went into work. And, I liked what I saw, but there's a goofiness uh, to the film, but I think it gives it charm too.
Like Madman, the character in itself, like when he does the scream in the film, like, "Roar!" It's crazy, but I love it.
Mm. Yeah, you've got that scream that he lets out. You have the hot tub scene.
Yeah.
Um, that has got to be one of the.
I
It's
love how he
fun.
growls at the end, and it's like, "Roar, my house is burning down." That's what it seemed like. He was like, oh, like he wasn't like mad, but he was just like, oh.
Oh, too bad.
Oh man, but The hot tub scene is one that a lot of people talk about more than any
It
other.
goes on too long. The whole we're gonna be cool with our camera. We're gonna make
We're
it
gonna spin
spin. We're
around
gonna go
about
around. And I'm like,
1,000
that's
times.
okay. Show her breast, his ass. Let them make out, and then that's all we need to see. We don't.
I
That's
guess
not
they
the
were
scene
they
you
were
should be
watching
doing your
too
fancy
many.
movements for. It's like,
Yeah, they were watching too many Brian De Palma films at the time. I guess. Like,
we're trying to make this scene sexy. I'm like, it did not come out that way.
No, I'll have to say it does not come off sexy at all. To me, anyway. Maybe it does to some people, but
that is an interesting thing to think about, though. Like, it seems like because that is a scene, like you said, Dana, that people talk about when it comes to Madman is the hot tub scene. But I've noticed, that really any film, or horror film in this case, that has a hot tub scene, it's for some reason that's always talked about. Like if you look at what was it, Halloween 2, the hot tub scene in Halloween 2, that's definitely one of like the big talking points of that film. So
mhm.
that's interesting. I never thought about that, but yeah.
And you see uh, women's boobs and a male ass, and then that one too. So
No
um,
Wayne Doodles though.
By the way,
no,
how many summer camps have a hot tub for? That just makes no sense. But like,
Yeah, well, yeah, and it really doesn't, but yeah.
also if you the crawl at the beginning of the movie, these are kids who they're like exceptional students. I'm like, what are these smart kids going to camp?
They're special ed kids.
Well, see,
I don't know.
they
they
didn't
were
phrase it like that. They phrased it more like they were like. That's what I was thinking, but the way they were phrasing it, it's like they're like smart rich kids or something like that.
I thought
Yeah.
it was
That
like
one little girl, she's a horrible actor. That little girl who's talking to Galen Ross. That story was scary, and she's like got to be like 12 years old. She's talking like she's 2 years old. That little girl. Also, this I know it was filmed like late October, but this is a summer camp. Everybody's bundled up in jackets, and there's like no.
Good point.
yeah.
There's
That's
no
an excellent
summer
point.
camp scenes that you could tell this is a summer camp. It's more like a lodge.
Yeah, it's like Ski School. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, there's no snow.
Yeah.
They're dressed like they're going
Or
to
there's like Ski
yeah.
School, or what's that? There's one called Hot Dog. It's also like a skiing movie of that
Yeah.
in the 80s. So yeah,
Or
sorry.
you could watch what was it? Was it Better Off Dead where they were skiing?
Yep. Yeah.
John Cusack movie.
At the end, yeah.
Also, the guy who runs the camp, like, well, I'm gonna go play some cards and do some drinking, and you guys just stay here. I'm like, what? And then he shows up at the end.
Yeah.
Like, you think it's gonna be like a Mr. Crispy thing where he gets killed, but no, he just shows up at the end, picks up that dude, and
Again, like I if anybody doesn't realize it, because we've already addressed this, but TJ, that's just his way of like saying that he loves this movie.
Yeah. That guy's acting is
Everybody get
bad
that
too. That guy.
construed.
That
Because
guy acts like he's like he must have been like a stage because he's projecting like I'm like, and he's like with some kind of weird accent. I'm like, what is he doing? Is it?
I get it.
Well, you kids,
so,
it's
so goofy, but I think that like that's another thing that's part of his charm. It kind of reminds me, like, even though this film was that I'm getting ready to refer to was made after Madman, the guy that TJ is talking about in Madman is kind of similar to the cops in Friday the 13th Part 5. They're just like these backwood hicks dumbasses. So yeah, I totally get that, but I again, like, I just think that's, for some people that's the part of the charm of those type of films is adding those goofy characters in like that.
Well, it helps you not. You can't really take a slasher movie seriously anyway, in my opinion. But and I think this is just.
Depends, I think.
I mean, there's maybe some now in more recent years that you can take a little more seriously, but I think back in the early '80s when they were having a lot of these slasher movies, I think deep down they wanted you to laugh at them a little bit.
Yeah, like which we covered this one not long ago on one of your shows, Danny, but bloody birthday, where it's the where the kids are the killers. And while it's got its own goofy stuff in it, but like
Yeah.
I think the overall tone of that movie is kind of serious. But like, and I think that's the way that most of these slasher films of the '80s were put out, that they were intended to be serious.
Hmm.
But there's always some kind of goofy factor about them, but not in a bad way, but it's because it's very lovable in a lot of ways. Those goofy factors, because um, I think when people go, the casual viewers at least want to watch a horror film,
Hmm.
they want to be scared. But if they're not being scared, they want to at least get some kind of form of entertainment out of it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of films that have succeeded from that, because they're like, while it may not be the greatest movie in the world, they'll go tell their friends about it, like, oh, you got to watch this movie. You got to watch this. It's so stupid, but you got to watch it. And and I think that's how I've always been, at least. So
Hmm. Yeah. I mean that we can look at these movies, especially these two particular movies we're talking about tonight, in a lot of different ways. We can say it's goofy, the characters do stupid things, and we all know they do stupid things. I mean, the refrigerator scene that TJ mentioned,
love
it's
it.
like that's pretty stupid. Uh, the hot tub scene, everybody makes fun of it. Even if you like the film, you tend to make fun of that hot tub
Yeah,
scene.
but I think we do that a lot, though, on here, at least on your
Mm,
channel, Dana. We make fun of a lot of movies, but that doesn't mean we don't like them.
right, exactly. It's just all part of the fun. And I don't hate Madman. I just and we're gonna kind of get down to the wire here and talk about. I'm gonna wait and hold off on mine, but I'm gonna go around and start with TJ and then go to Chris, and then I'll tell which one I like the best of the two. And if you can't say, that's okay. I'm not gonna sit here and give you a interrogation until you tell me. But TJ, do you have a favorite of the two?
I mean, if I was gonna watch a movie and I was like, okay, well, I want to watch a slasher movie. Let's say I really get down and go, oh, we're gonna watch a summer camp slasher movie. What would I want to watch? Um, I don't know. That's like when they say, "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, how could you pick one movie? That's just like, um, it's hard. Um, I'm trying to get an answer, but I'm not sure if I can. Uh, they're both short. I mean, Madman's like 80,
Yeah.
87 minutes or whatever, and
Hmm.
Burning's about. I have no idea. It's too
I feel
dark.
like
I'm blind.
that was like the standard.
Oh, it's 91 minutes. It's actually 91 minutes.
Yeah, I would
Um,
feel like that
I
was a
didn't realize
standard.
it was that long.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call those short, because that was like the standard running time for a lot of horror films in the '80s, was about
I
around
think
90 minutes.
I think they just seem to go fast because they're enjoying.
Well, The Burning does in a way, but Madman at times feels kind of slow.
I did fast forward a little bit when I was watching it earlier because I was like, I just want to watch like the good things I want to see in it. That's
Yeah.
that's that. Well, yeah, let me think about it that way. Out of the two movies, what has more to it that I would want to see?
Uh,
I don't know. I would say I don't know. Um,
TJ's conflicted.
yeah, because they're both like nothing's like it's not like we're going. Oh, there's like these are 100% original movies with new stuff and like everything's top notch. So it's easier to go. Oh, what? But Madman has more goofy charm, and I think The Burning is more. There's a little bit more seriousness about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's it depends on it depends on how if I want to watch something really like more serious, I would watch The Burning. If I want to watch something a little bit less, not goofy necessarily, but a little less, it's a slasher movie where people getting killed. I don't know about lighthearted is the right thing to say, but
He's fine.
yeah,
He's fine. He's fine.
that's my answer.
Okay,
It depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm
yeah.
feeling depressed, I don't think I want to watch The Burning. It seems too much. If I'm a little, I'd rather would watch. Yeah,
Okay.
depends on how I'm feeling. So that's my answer.
I think that answer works, TJ. So Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think mine's pretty much The Burning. If I'm going to choose one over the other, is and I choose it on all points. I enjoy the characters more. I enjoy the character design of Cropsy more than I do Madman Mars.
Mhm.
Um, hold on one second.
Rough.
Go on then.
I have that trouble with my
Oh,
dogs.
sorry, Miko was barking. He wanted out of here. But yeah, like as far as like the character design, I love Cropsy way over Madman Mars. I mean, like, and I don't want this to feel like to sound like I'm putting Madman down because I do enjoy the movie.
Mhm.
But if I'm ranking it, I'm ranking it in different aspects. Uh, as far as like slashers in general from the '80s, it wouldn't even make my top 10. Burning does, however. As far as like you know, horror films that are based around summer camps from the '80s, it might make the top 10. I don't know. I'd have to look at that and see because I would, include every Friday the 13th film that was based around Crystal Lake
Mhm.
and that came out in the 80s. And I would include the Sleepaway Camp films and The Burning and a few others. And Madman might make the top 10 within that, but just because that was kind of a niche like subgenre in the 80s. Um, but yeah, I just 100% would like put The Burning over Madman because it just like I said, as far as like character design, the story, the effects,
Mhm.
um, the so like I said earlier, they're both based around like a campfire tale legend, and I don't know. I feel like that was more of an interesting thing that Cropsy was actually involved with the camp at a point to where then that he was killed because of a prank that went wrong. Um, that just got me more invested in the story, and also like and it may be biased, but knowing that Tom Savini is involved with the effects, um, and if you're a fan of him, that is immediately going to get you interested in watching something he's involved with. Um, and especially because Dawn of the Dead is my favorite horror film, and Savini did the effects for that. He did, and in my Friday 13th is my favorite horror franchise. He did the effects from the original and final chapter. So um, there's just a lot of stuff there that kind of like makes me go in that direction. Um, just personally, but Madman is still a great movie. I'm not putting it down in any way. Like I said, I don't want it to sound like that, but it just feels a little bit too goofy in ways for me to kind of put it in that top kind of ranking of like slashers in general.
Okay. I think you and TJ both had good answers to that. I'm gonna have to go the way of Chris and say The Burning for me, and it's not because I don't get any enjoyment out of Madman. I wouldn't own Madman if I didn't want to watch it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't own movies I hate,
Yeah. Same.
or
You'll
Yeah,
never you'll never catch me having a copy of Birdemic in my collection. So
You can get that free on YouTube. You don't even need to buy
yeah,
that.
yeah.
There are people who do buy movies that they're like,
I should
that
I
they don't
should
want
be
to watch ever, but you know.
somebody
Well,
should have to pay me to watch that movie again.
but, I think the
Watch
time.
the Riff Tracks version if you're gonna watch that movie.
Well, didn't
Mm,
you and Steve and Candace watch Birdemic?
we did.
I
So so thanks to Dana, I have
that was
a
fun.
pure hatred for that movie.
I love the Nintendo graphics they have. The early Nintendo.
Exactly. That's what kills it for me is like when they're like shooting the guns, it's like you just see like 8-bit graphics go, and then the birds.
Gigantic,
Oh, it's
fake-looking
bad.
birds just
Bad.
hovering
I
there.
feel as much as I hate that movie, if nobody has ever seen it, you should at least watch it once. I will say
And they
that.
made a couple of them. They didn't just make one.
I will say that the couple dancing, like they meet each other that day, and then they got this romance going on, and they're dancing, and they're the only two people dancing, and that rivals the hot tub scene in Madman. That's 10 times worse than the hot tub scene.
The hot tub scene,
Yeah,
like I said, they tried to do
definitely
something with
worse.
the visuals, but they did. That Birdemic was just like
No, no.
the dumbest of dumb.
Oh, and there was something else I wanted to mention. Because we were talking about the poster art for the burning earlier about how it kind of with the two.
This is terrible.
Yeah, that was a little
agree.
bit.
I don't know how this got past somebody to say, "Yeah, that was great. We're gonna do that."
That just looks like the Man in Black from
Yeah.
Halloween 5, or not?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
there you go.
Halloween 5, and then Halloween 6.
People are
But
gonna want to watch this movie by the cover. Like, really?
yeah, it's very questionable. But like the original poster, like you see the couple embracing on there. Did you ever think, look at that, and Salis Cropsey wasn't in the background of that with the garden shears and all that, and you just seen like the that image of the couple embracing? Does it not remind you of like one of those romance novel covers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly what it looks like.
Fabio and whoever was like they was on those like covers, those old romance novels from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. I don't know why they chose to do that, and like just the way it's structured is just like one of those old romance.
The way I always interpreted it is that like because a lot of these slasher films, especially ones that took place in the camp settings, is always kind of like if you're going to have sex, you're going to die. so like it's kind of you see that like the guy's got his shirt off in the image and like they're embracing, so it's like you think something romantic's about to go down between them, but and then it's like Cropsy's like here I'm coming guys.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna kill your ass now.
Like you can't have sex in this region.
Can't have sex at this camp. I'm gonna come take you out.
Yeah, it looks like it's supposed to be like one of those like I forget what they're called. One of those sex thrillers, whatever the hell what they call
like
those. What they call those types
erotic thrillers.
Erotic thriller, yeah, erotic thriller. That's what it seems like they would try like, but. Well, like Acre Bay put this out, and this is not like this is a clip. This is a shot from the movie. I'm like, that's not who thought that. This was Acre Bay too. This was MGM. They were just like, hey, we just want to get it out and sell it.
Yeah.
This is like we're putting out a special edition, and this is what you're putting out. I mean, this is a lot better. But that's on the inside. This is back in the day when they had DVDs and like they put something cool on the inside.
I actually have that poster like it's on like a little postcard image inside the DVD. I have the original one sheet poster of Madman somewhere around here, and that's another great poster. Like, it's not one of those because you know how a lot of like movies back then. The cover art would be kind of misleading, and it wouldn't have anything to. I mean, I feel like the Madman poster is a really good poster, and there's nothing misleading about it. It's kind of simple, but I feel like that's best when you keep your stuff simple on poster art or cover art. I feel like that entices people more like to have to really kind of figure out what's going on or anything. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Well, is there any like final thoughts that you guys want to talk about either one of the movies or both of
What do you
them?
think about the music? I think
Oh,
Madman's more memorable because it has
Mm.
those stinger where it's like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the music's a lot like more interesting
I think
than.
I'm going to be the lone holdout on that because I love. Some people hate synth scores, but I think Rick Wakeman, who did the music for the Burning,
Mhm.
I just think it was amazing. But maybe I'm the only one on the planet.
Now I do like it too, but it's I don't I'm in agreement with TJ here because it is that if you take a lot of people say a takeaway from the burning is the raft scene. I feel like the takeaway, if I was going to be like that, I would say the takeaway for me for Madman was the music,
Yeah.
because I don't know, it's really interesting to me.
Mhm.
Also, I think it's synth music too. I think it's also. I mean, that was the music they did back
Yeah,
back
that
then,
was
anyways, for most movies. They started. John Carpenter started that basically, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's like with these movies are just like Friday the 13th was successful. Let's do another slasher movie. Let's do a summer camp movie. Hey, that was doing pretty good a couple of times. Let's keep doing that. I don't think there's as many as you would think there are, but there's there's Madman, there's The Burning, there's Sleepaway Camp, there's Friday the 13th. Can you think of another off the top of your head that's a summer camp slasher? I think that might be like
I don't know if you count it as a summer camp, but I do, and because I love this movie, and a lot of people shit on it, but Memorial Valley Massacre. Uh,
yeah.
um,
I had that one though. I had that one on Blu-ray, and Steve was like, "Why did you buy that,
I
Dana?
love
Why?"
it. I don't care. I think it's awesome.
It's got an annoying kid that rides on a ATV.
Yeah, that kid is super annoying, and but I don't know, like it's like because like the killer in it is like this kind of like wild wolf boy type
Mm.
character, and it's really awesome to me for some reason. Uh,
But again, I have Horror House on Highway 5, so I can't talk
yeah, I
about
mean,
it.
I have nothing to say about that.
Chris refuses to talk about that movie. Man.
and speaking, I like the backstory of Madman. I think it's a little bit more interesting than because we see the Cropsy thing. We it's like it's an 80s horror movie. Oh, something happens to somebody at the beginning of the movie, and then they take revenge later in the movie. So he stops off to kill a hooker before he goes to the summer camp, which is it's like, does he know who's going to be at that summer camp? That's another thing too. Is it like, does he just happen to end up at the summer camp because that's what he remembers, or
Well, do either of you guys remember that head counselor, the guy that's supposed to be portrayed in this?
He
Uh,
was one of the guys that did
Todd
the
is the one that, yeah, right,
Cropsy.
yeah.
But I
So,
mean, how did he know Todd was going to be there as a counselor? It just seems a little far fetched.
I don't.
There might be a plot hole there.
I don't know, maybe logic, maybe.
I
Yeah,
don't think they were looking into it that much with that. I think it's just like they just want to, because in a lot of slashers like that, they don't really have any kind of motive. They're just killing people, like all the people that Jason Voorhees is killing on the Friday the 13th films.
Hmm.
They're not the actual camp counselors that like drowned him when he was a child or anything. So
yeah.
he just sees like camp counselors. He's like, oh, die, you know. And he's like, and same thing with Pamela Voorhees getting killed by Alice. Like, yeah, he killed Alice in the beginning of part two, but that's all that needed to be done really because she was the one that killed his mother. But he's like, no, I want to go to this camp and kill all these other random
I
kids.
think what happens with Jason is he sees every camp counselor as the ones that let him drown.
Right, and that's possibly the way it's perceived with Cropsy and the burning.
Well, that thing about Jason is basically Mrs. Voorhees is her. She's the same thing. She's blaming counselors who are at that
Yeah,
camp. She's not
Exactly.
blaming
Yeah.
the people
yeah,
who actually killed her caused her son to drown, which he obviously didn't drown. That's another thing too. Like they didn't really do a good investigation looking for a dead body of the kid that Jason.
Well,
You
there's
could say
been a
he
lot
drifted
of,
off somewhere and they couldn't find him. That makes sense. But
drowned in the
no.
lake. Okay, let's just leave him there. You
but
I
know.
mean, you
that's
can't if you watch these true crime things, they actually like when people like they get these criminals and they arrest them and they go, well, there were these other murders you never knew about. Like, where are the bodies? That's why in Madman they go, well, no one ever found the bodies. Well, that kid finds the bodies pretty easy in Mad.
He does.
But I was saying about I like the Madman backstory. Like, I would like to see a movie of that. Like him going crazy and killing his family, and that's like an interesting like.
Yeah.
That's one
what
of the
is
like that beginning scene is kind of long because we get the dude with the song, and then we get the owner telling the story about Madman. Then we get the kid throwing the rock, which I'm like, is that house supposed to be right next to where they were sitting? How did he throw a rock that just went right to the window when he just randomly threw it in the air?
And that Richie has got to be one of the most obnoxious kids ever. They say, don't say his name above a whisper. And he's like, Madman Mars. He's just
Yeah,
screaming.
there's that, and then we get introduced to the counselors with the drama between Galen Ross and the other dude, and will they get together? That's sort of like the biggest plot with the counselors is after she goes back to town, will she date him or like? Do we care about that really?
what's
I think
interesting?
that's better in The Burning because we don't get that sort of like. We get like the two counselors who's like they probably have a thing going, but that's not like the soap opera drama going. I think they threw too much soap opera drama into the Madman that we didn't need.
So TJ, you said that Madman was released in October of '81. Is that correct? So I feel like the reason why that movie didn't get as much attention is because, like, Dana just referred to that scene in Madman where, like, the kid is like they're at the campfire after telling the tale and everything, and he's like being obnoxious and all that. Because in this same year, earlier that year, Friday the 13th Part 2 came out, and it's kind of the same scene. When in Friday the 13th Part 2, after they're telling the tale of Jason, and then Stu Charno's character, I can't remember his name in Part 2, but he, I think it's him. He does the big jump scare, like in a mask and everything after Paul gets done telling the tale. So it's kind of the same thing, and I feel like, if it wasn't as similar, if Madman would have been a bit different in its own way, it may have got more attention at that time. But overall, it has gotten a lot of attention over the years, especially, with as far as like cult followings and everything, and with like re-releases on DVD or Blu-ray or now 4K. I think is the Vinegar Syndrome's the one that put out the 4K. But yeah, like there was a lot of movies like that just kind of like fell short. I'm pretty sure Monster Squad is one of my favorite films of all time. But unfortunately, Monster Squad was released on the same weekend as The Lost Boys. So we know we see why Monster Squad didn't do so well when it was released.
Because you got the older teens who'd rather see the Lost Boys. The Monster Squad looks a little too kid friendly.
Yeah,
that's why I would think that the Lost Boys did better because it was like older adult.
Well,
older
vampires were very, even though Monster Squad has vampires, but also Kiefer Sutherland and Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, they had all these top like '80s like teen beat like characters in the Lost Boys, and that was ultimately what got it more attention and more success because people like a lot of especially like female fans were running out to watch the Lost Boys. So if they had boyfriends going with them or something, they were dragging them to that movie too. And it's just like, instead of watching the Monster Squad, which Monster Squad is like the Goonies with monsters,
Yeah.
which I always feel like that's would have been a huge appeal too. But like I said, with the combination of vampires and like those teen heartthrobs of the 80s, I mean, that was a no-brainer as far as like, uh, being financially successful.
Yeah, all the dudes were taking their girlfriends. Hey, you want to go see these hot vampire dudes? And then I'll get something later after we're done watching the movie. You couldn't get that at Monster Squad. You don't get that. You get that sister, but she's not like.
Yeah.
You get at least the guys. We got Jamie Gertz to look at least. And maybe
speaking of the sister,
those weird people like Diane Wiest. I don't know about that, but
the sister in Monster Squad, she just recently in the past year or two started doing conventions. So I'm hoping to catch her at a show eventually because she's one of the very last names that I need on my Monster Squad poster. I think I only need her and Michael Faustino, who played Eugene in Monster Squad. I think those are the last two I need, and then I'm done.
I wonder if he's related to Bud Bundy.
Oh yeah, that's his brother.
That's
his brother. Yeah.
Okay.
The Christian Slater and Helen Slater thing, where they're not related.
No, yeah, but I mean, you can definitely tell too. Like Michael and David Faustino, they look very close alike. You can tell they're related. But yeah, that's funny.
Chad Lowe and Rob
because he's actually David Faustino is actually doing an appearance like an hour away from here in like a month at a wrestling show of all places.
That's interesting. Is he doing like the David Arquette thing? Is he going to show up on AEW?
I don't know what the deal is with that appearance. I mean, the only thing I can think of that's wrestling related to Dave Faustino is that they did an episode of Married with Children where he dressed up like a bumblebee and he fought King Kong Bundy in that episode. And that was like the whole story. I thought like King Kong Bundy was supposed to have been like a relative of the Bundy family in Married with Children. But as far as like what his appearance at this upcoming wrestling event, no idea.
Oh, speaking of, if anybody likes Married with Children, I heard they're working on an animated Married with Children. I think it's just going to be the main family. I don't think Amanda Bierce and Ted McGinley or the other dude are going to be on it. But
for real?
If you look, you could probably find it on YouTube. There's like a little short, not a trailer, but it's sort of like a little maybe proof of concept, and all the four of them did the voices for the main.
You've got me intrigued.
Which is funny because I saw a TikTok.
Look it up.
It's funny because I saw a TikTok with Ed O'Neill, and he's like, "Yeah, I would never do a reboot or anything like that." I'm like, "Well, you're working on a cartoon. You don't count it as a reboot." But there's a scene where the cartoon is they get a new house and they're driving up to the house.
So did you say that like the original cast is going to be providing the voices, or?
Yeah, for that little teaser, they got Faustino, they got O'Neill, they got Peg Bundy, what's her name?
Katie Seagal.
And they even got Christina Applegate. Now, considering she has MS, but right now, I mean, I'm sure she can do a voice. I mean, she doesn't have to worry about traveling or anything like that.
That the Darcys weren't involved with it though, right?
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they're just waiting to see what they're going to do with the show, because I don't know if they're at the writing stage right now or what they're doing, or they just kind of want it to just be simple and not get totally involved with everybody else. But then again, also, well, even though it's animated, it's animated. They don't really have to see each other, but I know there's a controversy between Amanda Bierce and Ed O'Neill, supposedly.
That sucks because I was hoping if I'm seeing this on, I'll have to watch it here in a little bit, but like, man, I hope that's good because, and I hope the Darcys are involved because Jefferson was always one of my favorite characters on Married with Children. And I read something about, I forget the guy's name that plays him, but he was,
what
was it?
Ted McGinley.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So like he was in, Revenge of the Nerds and some other stuff, and um, I don't know. I seen something about him in an article recently where like when he was like attached to different projects. Like he was one of the like most least interesting characters a part of those projects. But with Married with Children, I feel like he was like one of the best parts of that show when he came on, and he replaced Marcy's first husband.
Yeah.
Forgetting his name. I think it's Steve is what his name was.
Yep.
Uh,
Mhm.
but I liked Jefferson a whole lot better because, especially when he got into like the whole no ma'am stuff
Yeah. Yeah.
with Al, and I think they were working together at the shoe store for a little bit, and just a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
great show.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
he
always.
married Marcy for her money, basically, so he could
Yeah,
just goof
yeah,
off and
he couldn't stand her. That's the thing. He was just with her for her money.
Yeah, I had that whole original series on DVD. I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah,
Um,
Joe
I like
Bob
the
Bright's
episodes where they were trying to do spin-offs and it just they couldn't. They did one with uh, Matt LeBlanc where they actually got a TV show from it. Like he was one of Kelly's boyfriends, and they spun him off for like I think he had like 2 seasons of a show, and it was like right before he got Friends. But then there was another one where they were when Bud was going to college, he was working at a radio station, a college radio station, and we got introduced to these characters because they were trying to spin off this college radio station into a show, and they had the guy who played Steve, like he was like the dean or something like that. So that would have been another show, but that never got picked up. And then there was another show where they got another hot girl, and they were trying to make a show off of her, which never didn't work. Sorry, Kelly was the hot girl. You can't spin off from her. I'm sorry, but yeah. And Ted McGinley is like he would always show up halfway through a series, and he'd finish out the series. Like he ended up on Happy Days by like the last couple of seasons, and he ended up on Love Boat last couple of seasons, and he seemed to do that a lot where he ended up on a show and it was always at the end of the show.
it's like he was the end of the show guy.
There's actually a joke during one of the episodes of Married with Children that references that.
I don't know who I don't know who Curls and Twirls was, but no, I'm sorry, I will not make love to you.
Chris started laughing, and then that got me laughing about it.
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, Candace will kill you. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna.
But I did see Super Batman Nerds comment. He said if they brought Marcy into this cartoon shoot, they'd probably have her come out as a lesbian. That's very possible. I know Amanda Beers is a lesbian in real life, but she's super cool. Like I met her in at what was it? Fright Night Film Fest in Louisville several years ago. Like she was there. They had like a Fright Night reunion. It was her and it was William Ragsdale, Stephen Jeffries. I think Chris Sarandon was there as well. Um, he's kind of a jerk, so I don't know. I mean,
I've heard that about him. I've never met him,
but Amanda Beers was like probably one of the nicest ladies I've ever met as far as like celebrity wise at a convention. I mean, she absolutely took her time with every fan that I seen, and she talked to me for probably close to 10 minutes about just Fright Night and Married with Children stuff, and that's what we mostly talked about because like that's probably one of my favorite like comedy shows of all time is Married with Children.
yeah, I think a lot of people have nice memories about that. I mean, I watched that with my family. My dad loved Married with Children.
It's awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, Amanda Beers used to do conventions with her breasts from Fright Night, and then she sold them. Like, oh, I would have done. She would have. I would love to her. She should do one of those in makeup things where she's got the big giant mouth and everything.
Dude, I would love that. If they there's no way they would take the time to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure she would. I don't think she would.
But that would be so awesome. They're actually doing at Scarefest in Lexington. They're doing that same reunion I just spoke of. It, it's going to be Chris Sarandon, Stephen Jeffries, William Ragsdale, Amanda Beers. But they are also going to have the guy that was like Jerry Dandridge's familiar in Fright Night, which he was also in House 2.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
And they're going to have Charlie's mom from Fright Night's going to be at Scarefest, and Tom Holland, the director.
Oh, wow.
And with Tom Holland being there, they're also doing a Child's Play reunion as well. So
Wow, he's going to be doing double duty in here.
yeah, because they got Chris Sarandon's also in Child's Play, and then they got Alex Vincent who played Andy and there's rumors right now. They've not confirmed anything, but Brad Dourif may be a part of Scarefest this year. So.
Oh man, you'll have to keep me posted on that.
Yeah, I definitely will. If I find out anything.
I'll have to drag Steve to Scarefest and Brad Dourif's going to be there.
And I would love to get his autograph. I have a photo op with it. Me and Candace did several years ago at Horror Hound. But it was very quick. I didn't get to talk with him or anything. At the photo op, at least, we went to the Q&A that same day, and I did get to ask him a question at the Q&A. But I wish I could have talked to him more, like just in one-on-one. Because my favorite role of Brad Dourif is actually his role in the X-Files Beyond the Sea. I think I've mentioned that on here before, but that's my favorite X-Files episode.
I wanted to say hey to cable channel 11. He says he popped, or he or she. I don't want to be sexist or anything, but they say they pop in here from time to time.
Yeah, they picked the part where we're talking about random stuff that doesn't have to do with the subject. So.
Yeah, and it probably. I noticed they said I'm lost, and that's probably.
Yeah, I think that's what they meant, is the fact that we're just talking about random stuff now.
I'll be right back, guys. Okay.
Okay. So TJ, you got anything going on that you want to talk about, or any random stuff you want to talk about?
I don't know. There's a creator was talking about the Fright Night reunion. We have a semi-local horror convention near where I live in New Hampshire, and they're gonna. It's not a big guest list, but they're gonna have Stephen Jeffries, Ragsdale, Amanda Bierce, and the woman played the mother. I'm like, all of a sudden she's doing conventions. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know if I would like. I'd have to look up her IMDb. I wouldn't even know what else she was in besides Fright Night. And what is she? How old is she now? She's got to be like 80. I don't know how old she would be.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. How old is she?
Also, Felissa Rose will be there, which I was like, oh, she's always fun to.
Yeah, Felissa Rose, I would meet again because she's just one of the nicest, sweetest people ever.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very lazy. I should start doing stuff. Still haven't started my YouTube channel, which I keep trying to. I need to write some scripts so I can at least go, okay, now at least I know what I'm gonna do instead of like not doing anything.
You working on any new projects, like film projects, or?
I'm doing a lot of writing.
Oh, that's good. That's productive.
So, nothing you'll physically see at this point, but we'll see.
So, what about your shirt? I meant to ask about your shirt earlier.
It's the Murder Mystery Squad. It's a takeoff of
Scooby-Doo,
but it's got Freddy is Michael, Daphne's Scream, Scooby is Freddy Krueger. Who is supposed to be Leatherface? I have no idea who that is. That's going to be Shaggy. That was Shaggy's Leatherface, and Velma's dressed as Freddy. I mean, Jason. Boy, I don't know people's names anymore.
So where did you get that one?
Is it? I don't think it was it TeePublic? I can't remember. One of those shirt companies is having a sale too. I was like, oh, I got to get some shirts. I think it might be TeePublic. I can't remember now. I even had the page opened up, and now I can't find it when I want it. Can't find things. I never can find things when I want them.
Sorry,
That's
I had to go out there for a second. I had to help Candace find the car keys.
oops.
Yeah,
Did you find them?
yeah. She
Okay.
just, I guess she just forgot where she put them. I was like, oh, they're in here. So, but
I couldn't find my phone for 3 hours earlier.
yeah, I hate when that happens.
It was on a bed on,
Been
and I was
losing.
like, how can I not see that? It was lit up. I don't know why I couldn't
And
see
it's
it.
always in the last place you look.
Yeah, it's usually the first place I put it before I moved out of the room. Yeah.
But hey, I seen who was that from? Russell. Russell said first time I heard Brad Dourif's Chucky laugh was in
Yeah.
Mississippi Burning. That's a great movie too. I mean, it's it's got a lot of racial stuff in it for sure, but it's a fantastic made movie. My father-in-law, he loved that movie, and we watched it all the time. It's like there's another movie it goes good with watching that is it's the movie. I think it's got Matthew McConaughey and Samuel L. Jackson. A Time to Kill. That's a great movie. Love that movie. Yeah. Oh, 1 second.
All right. I was trying to think if there's anything I want to bring up, but I think I brought up, everything going on for the rest of the week and into the weekend.
Have you guys seen the first Omen, right?
I have not yet.
Oh, okay.
I saw parts of it. Steve was actually sitting down watching it.
Yeah, I sat down and watched it the other day, and I was like, okay, because I didn't watch the trailer, but I knew a couple of the scenes were sort of like, oh, that was in the Omen kind of thing. I was like, okay, it wasn't bad. Since you guys really haven't seen it, I don't want to say really.
No, I'm going to watch it probably with either tonight or the next couple of days. I know it is on one of the streaming services like Hulu or something.
Yes, it's on Hulu. Yeah.
So I'm going to check that out. But I did watch some movies that had been on my list for a while. I watched them in the last few days, which was X and Pearl. And let me tell you, I love those movies.
Bet you can't wait for Maxine now, right?
Yeah, that's all it's worth.
Yeah, I'm highly anticipating watch Maxine. I think it comes out next month, maybe.
Coming out soon.
And but I think I did like X a little bit more than Pearl. But they're both great. I mean, I have mentioned Maya Goth before on here. Like I had not seen anything, but I liked her look because she kind of reminded me of a young Shelley Duvall. Let me tell you that girl was fantastic in both of those movies. And she may be my favorite female actress currently.
Have you heard her real voice?
I have not. I know you mentioned that before.
I bet you it would ruin it. Like now that you've heard her in movies, you should now listen to her real voice because it's so not what she sounds
the way
like.
I'm afraid though because like she has a very like charming voice in both of those films. It's very like Southern drawish.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to hear her voice based on what you said.
But I'm trying to think if there's like Dana's actually at a loss for words right now.
What?
You won't see that too often.
What about? Are you guys excited about? Is it called? I think it's called Long Legs or something that's coming out.
Oh, I heard about that briefly, but I don't know.
I heard the title, but I'm like, if it's something that's going to be good or interesting, I don't know. I don't want to learn too much about it. It's like,
what about? Have you guys seen that film that came out a while back called Sting about the killer spider?
No, but I've seen it on. I think it's on some streaming service because I remember seeing like the little poster or whatever.
Yeah, I recommend it. I liked it a lot. But I got a kick out of the name Sting because I was like, as soon as I hear that, I think of the wrestler
or the musician,
or the musician. Yeah, it's just like the text style for the movie is very similar to this the text on an old Sting the wrestler T-shirt from back in like the early 2000s. So I was like,
really?
That
sounds deliberate. Is he going to make a cameo? Oh, that'd be interesting.
It also be a bit of the movie. Be like an exterminator, like like what's his name that played Dan on Roseanne? John Goodman. He was in Arachnophobia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so,
By the way, just a warning: when people are telling people about movies, even mentioning people that are in the movie is a spoiler. Like I was going to see, what was it? Halloween Ends, and I was talking with a buddy of mine. He's like, "Yeah, blah blah blah," and Darcy's in it. I was like, "I didn't know Darcy was going to be in it. That would have been a great surprise to see
don't
Darcy."
tell me that.
I would have been like, "What is Darcy doing in a Halloween movie?" And he's like,
to me.
"Oh, that's not a spoiler." I'm like, "Yeah, it is, because I didn't know she was going to be in it. And that would have been a surprise."
I didn't know that she was going to be in it when I watched it, but like, it's very minimal, her scene.
She didn't get any lines because they cut out the rest of her scene, because she's supposed to say a couple of things and then she's supposed to brutally be murdered, and they didn't even. I don't even think they put it on the Blu-ray or anything. They just there's a couple of photos on her Instagram that show the scene being filmed, but.
Well, it's like,
why wouldn't you do that? I mean, what the hell?
I was watching 2001 Maniacs last week in preparation for that stream that Dana was doing covering that, and I had seen that a couple times before in the past, but I completely forgot that Eli Roth has a part in that movie where he's like, he's just this guy hanging out on the side of the road, and he throws like a dead possum into the windshield of their car, like to try to get them to stop so he can ride with them, and then like they, the group in the movie, like they don't pick him up, so they just go on, and so then Eli Roth's character just goes and he grabs the dead possum out of the road, he throws it to the next oncoming car. I completely forgot he was in that, but and I'm not a big fan of Eli Roth's films, but anything that I've ever seen him in, like acting wise, I really like his characters.
Piranha 3D. He gets a really good scene in that.
Yes, he does. Because me and my cousin Heather went to see that IMAX.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, Eli Roth! Oh, he just got butchered by the motor from the." I go, that's. Oh, by the way, don't see the 2001 Maniac sequel is terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. They replaced Robert Englund with Bill Moseley.
Yeah,
and it's not great.
It's not good. Lin Shaye's a good actor. Bill Moseley's a good actor. There's some, but I'm like, everybody else in this movie who isn't somebody you ever seen before are just, I think they're hot chicks who can talk. That's it.
That's about it.
I did like one thing about Bill Moseley's outfit. So he has his eye patch on the other eye.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool, because it's a different actor playing it, so that's actually like.
But it's the same character.
A point of saying that, well, Robert Englund played the first character, so we're going to switch the eye patch. But other than that, there's no more clever things about the movie than that.
Yeah, it's the same character though. Like that's a plot hole, like right off the bat. You know what I mean?
Also, he's sort of like a more white trash, if that's possible, a more white trashy version of the Robert Englund character. It's
which even though Robert Englund and Mayor Buckman in the first one, was white trash pretty much.
I mean, they added the whole now him and Lin Shaye are supposed to be related somehow, and they're having sex. I'm like, what?
I assumed that they were brother and sister, but it was one of those stereotypical like Southern things. It was like
they didn't do that in the first movie. Why did they do it in this movie? I
don't know, but like I was saying, like Robert Englund in 2001 Maniacs, like he has like that white trash thing about his character, but also at the same time, there's like some class about his character.
He has like subtlety a lot of the time that Bill Moseley's just. He's doing his Rob Zombie acting.
I don't recommend it if no one's seen the second one.
It's not good. No.
Well, I guess we can go ahead and start tying this up. It's a little bit less than 2 hours. Unless y'all.
What's our rating for each movie?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, we should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to do that. Thank you, TJ, for reminding me of that. So, TJ, you're up since you.
Okay. First, I got to do something.
Russell, I
TJ's
think
not
Lynn
known
Shay.
for it.
I think Lynn Shay's great in everything that I've seen her in.
She's like Bob Shaye's sister, but like she's really good actor. Like
Yeah.
I like the Insidious movies, and there's a lot of good things about them, but she's like the really what holds those.
Yeah,
movies
I was thinking the
together.
same thing. I was going to mention that too, TJ. Like she's, when they kind of wrote her character off after Insidious 2.
Yeah,
I mean, she's still featured a little bit in there, but I mean, like, and then she's also in Insidious, The Last Key, and
yeah, it's
but
like her backstory.
yeah, like it's like a prequel type thing, yeah.
Yeah,
And she's really like the biggest thing like I enjoyed about those Insidious movies, but this is probably stupid, but like whenever I think of Lynn Shay in roles, the first thing I always think of is the landlord in Kingpin.
yeah.
So,
And she's the neighbor in uh, Cameron Diaz.
Something about Mary.
Something about Mary. Yeah, she's the weird,
Yeah,
the
she's the one that gets a really bad tan and
yeah,
everything.
she's like
She looks like a can of pork and beans.
yeah, and she's great. She's great in that too. But what was something else she was in? And I was like, oh, she's really good. Oh, the one that's set on Christmas. That's a really good movie with Ray Wise. Wrong Turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not Wrong Turn. What was that movie? Dead End. Dead End.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot that movie was set on Christmas.
Yeah,
that's a good
one.
Movie. Candace actually was the one that introduced me to that movie, Dead End, and it's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I give them both 3.5.
Yeah, thank you for the visual, TJ. Because
I give them 3.5.
You can't get off my lazy butt and make the
half a face.
Okay. So TJ's gonna play it safe and give them both a 3.5.
Yeah, I said I would. Like I said, I wouldn't. It's hard for me to prefer one over the other. Like, I think The Burning is edited a lot better, and I think the effects are a little better. Well, definitely better. Because this stuff is just like with a girl is in the playing with the car, and then she gets her head cut off, and I'm like, okay. She just drags the body down, and it's just like it's clean cut. I'm like, there would not have been a clean cut. I'm a little bit nitpicky, but that is a good severed head. Savita's good at the severed head in whatever. Like, how did you get her head in there? That's actually a cool shot. I think they might have had to take out like the engine and then like put it in front of her and then dress her up. But yeah.
I forgot to ask you guys about this, but did y'all notice at the end of The Burning when they're in that mine, basically, did you notice that the girl that goes skinny dip and then doesn't want to have sex with the guy and she gets her throat slit, did you guys notice that was not her, that was a steal? From when she got killed. It's terrible. Very blatant.
Well, actually, when I said about the editing, that part's bad. Part's pretty bad.
That's not good.
It could have been one of those things though that like where they had the scene actually filmed and then like during editing like something happened to that shot to where they could and they just had to do the best what they had, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you see all the stuff from London After Midnight with Lon Chaney was like lost and stuff, but there's been a lot of like still images out there that people have pieced together to try to create a film for it. I look at it as something like that, it's just something to do with like the best the editing can do. And like I said, Jack Shoulder did the editing for The Burning.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they probably couldn't get her back to film like a insert or something. I'm gonna guess that's probably what happened.
Possibly.
We'll just put this up there, and maybe nobody will notice.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's a scene in Bruce Lee Game of Death and they had a double play, playing him throughout the
Yeah.
movie. And there's a scene where they just literally had a cutout of Bruce Lee's face,
I think Steve was
and
showing
it's so like obviously terribly just like literally somebody like and the body's moving, but the face is covered up with a photo. And it's like,
That's odd that you mentioned Game of Death, because I watched this movie recently on Netflix, I think. It's from the 80s. It's called The Joy of Sex, and Colleen Camp is in that movie.
I've seen
And
that.
Yeah, that's right.
she's like this undercover cop. It's posing as a teenager in high school and everything. But there's a scene in that movie where they're at the drive-in and they're watching Game of Death. And I was doing a little bit of research on like the different like cast members from that movie Joy of Sex, and Colleen Camp, when I seen that, I looked at her credits and she's in Game of Death.
Yeah, she sings. She's got like a song during the movie.
I've never seen Game of Death, so I didn't know that.
Yeah. But wait, in Clue, I don't know how they did it. She's so hot in Clue, and she's not unattractive. It's just like every other movie, she's never as hot as she was in Clue. I don't get what happened.
Yeah,
maybe it's the outfit and the way she was made up and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, she's smoking.
What was the movie that Colleen Camp was in that I think Knock Knock was based on? What was the name of that movie?
Talking about Knock Knock, the Eli Roth movie?
Yeah, the one where the chicks show up at that guy's house and they basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's called Death Games or something like that. I don't know. It's an older movie.
I know of Road Games with Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, not that one. Man, that's gonna bother me. TJ doesn't know it right off, I guess.
Yeah. I can look at. You said Colleen Camp is in it. I can look at her.
I'm pretty sure she is.
Let's see. Well, yeah, she's in. It says she's in Knock Knock. Yeah, and she's also in Death Game.
Death Game. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So who's in that? I didn't even know about that one. Yeah, I don't recognize anybody else from this movie.
Just Colleen Camp.
Yeah.
But I was pretty sure she was in that, and she's wicked in that movie.
Oh wow! Russell said the full body burn stunt in The Burning was done by a 17-year-old kid. I didn't know that. That's all. That's so like. It's wild because he's underage.
Oh yeah, that was the kid that a few years later, I think he was the one that got killed in that helicopter crash on
Airwolf. That's right.
Yeah. Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, he was
17. Really... Glad he was in a movie with somebody who rhymes with Fawn Scandus. I had to think of something that sounded a lot not like that, but wow, I don't know if that probably wasn't legal back then, but that was the 80s. They did a lot of nut stuff.
Well,
they
yeah,
permits they should have gotten. It's
like how Dana has said it in the past. It's like the Wild West, back then. A lot of filmmakers were competing so much, like who could have more success with their films that were coming out. They were doing stuff that wasn't typically legal, and one, because I think we talked about that when we were covering Basket Case, Dana. We were talking about Frank Henenlotter because of the stuff that they were doing. They were going out on the streets in New York at like 4 in the morning.
Kevin Van Hendrick, buck-ass naked,
running down the street. They didn't have permits for that. They did not have permits.
No, they didn't care. They just did.
What do they call it? Stealing a shot or something like that? I think that's what.
Maniac. They stole a lot of shots when they were doing Maniac.
Well, even Night of the Comet, like they filmed it like 3 in the morning before LA traffic to get those scenes where there's nobody in the It's like you couldn't get permits back then to do that. That's just
Yeah, you had to have people working with you that were fully dedicated to do that stuff too, because nowadays you don't hear of anything like that going on nowadays during filmmaking.
it happens in indie. Like I've done independent, low budget stuff, and
Right, right.
like I once
Well,
did.
yeah, I'm
I've done a
sure.
few 48-hour film fest projects where you have to shoot, you have to write a script, you have to shoot it, you have to edit it, you got to do all that within 48 hours, and then you submit it to the festival, and it's like you're up. No one's I literally was up 40 hours on all those projects because I was like helping out doing every little tiny thing. It's like. And then you have people like, oh, I hate being in movies because you just sit around and you don't do anything. Well, you should be a PA. You'll be doing a lot of stuff.
You probably want to smack people across the face when they say something.
That's usually rich people. I understand they're a totally different thing than normal people.
Yeah.
Like, Justin Timberlake. Oof. You hear about that?
I've seen. I don't really know the whole story on that. I've seen a few
DUI
about it.
Yeah.
I figured like I seen the mug shot and I was like, well, based on what his eyes look like, that he's probably either on drugs or he's been drinking. But yeah, I didn't know the story. I didn't know. So you said it's a DUI. So
in the Hamptons, like that's rich people. Like I was in the Hamptons. I couldn't find an Uber or a Lyft or a limo or somebody with a skateboard. Like I had to drive my car while I was drunk. Really?
Well, there's a few wrestlers in the WWE that have got in trouble for that in the past couple of years too, and like they're big names within the company too. So, and I think sometimes they just kind of their egos get more than what they can handle, and they just kind of think that they're untouchable at times. So
I mean, he's lucky it was just a DUI. He could have killed somebody.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, there was this chick that was in wrestling too from like back in the 90s. Her name was Sunny, and she's going to be probably in prison for the rest of her life now because like she was drinking and driving, and she like ran over this like 80-year-old man, killed him. So yeah, she's done, man.
Yeah, she had a rough like drinking and drugs, and
yeah,
it was I think it was one of the things where it's like she was like the hot girl. And I think as she was getting older, and like she was having sex with all the wrestlers. I mean,
there's a lot of stories out there about her. Like they've done a few like interviews with different wrestlers. They're on YouTube if you can find them about everybody she was involved with. Like she was married to a wrestler named Chris Candido, but she was always cheating on him. Like she was messing with like Shawn Michaels mostly. Then there's like stories of like her with Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, and just other people. Like when she went and then she like crossed over to ECW later on, and like there's like stories of like her like having sex with all the guys over there in ECW at the time, and her husband was working for ECW at the time, while she was there.
Supposedly he didn't know. I mean, he probably knew something, but from the stories I've heard, he was sort of like one of those guys. Like she was like kind of like mentally like abusive to him, and I think regardless of how macho you are, especially if you have like a past where you were like mentally and physically abused and stuff like that, and then you sort of meet somebody, you sort of fall under the spell of you get used to doing something like that, which is, so I mean, people say, oh, he knew what was going on. I'm like, I think he was letting more go than he was.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man, but regardless, either way, it was a shitty situation.
And I think he ended up, he died.
He
self-inflicted, killed himself.
He didn't kill himself.
Oh, he didn't? Okay. Then
he actually died from a blood clot in his leg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was wrestling at the time for this company called TNA, and then like he injured his leg in like his last match, and then like a few days later, he died because it was a blood clot in his leg and they couldn't catch it in time. But yeah, like you said, she was back in the day, she was all right looking and stuff. And she was, I think, the most downloaded woman on the internet in 1995. But yeah, stuff like that. A lot of those wrestlers, they go their careers and just lives in general go downhill because of drugs and all that shit.
Yeah, but yeah, so I ended up bringing this to a discussion.
That's okay,
So
TJ.
Madman's goofy. Anyway,
Well, moving on from that, we'll go to Chris and get his ratings on both of the films.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. I would have to say a 3 for Madman,
Okay.
but where I do like The Burning more than that, I would have to go I'm gonna go a little bit above that, just say a 4 for The
Okay.
Burning. And I feel like that's a pretty fair rating that I gave Madman a 3 because, like I said, I like the movie a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I have given a rating of a lot less while doing these streams with Dana. So I feel like a 3 is very fair for Madman. And ultimately, I think unless you're a super diehard, it's one of your favorite films. I feel like that would probably be like the general ranking of because it's not a bad movie. It's also not a very good movie, but but it's enjoyable for what it is.
Right. Okay.
Dana, your turn.
I got a message, but they'll have to wait to hear from me till I finish the stream. Um, and if it's Candace, I hope she doesn't take offense.
She could have just came in the room and said something on the.
Oh man. Anyway, I guess I'll get to my rating, and TJ's going to get me probably because he's going to say, "There you go again, Dana."
Oh
But
God! Don't give anything a 5.
We'll give a 5 to both
She's
of
gonna
them.
give a 5 to The Burning. I bet. Come on.
TJ knows me too well.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler.
Madman, I'm going to give Madman a 3 because it is enjoyable. But some parts of it are a little too goofy for me, and
That is the music from Madman.
right. But that doesn't mean that I don't like to watch it from time to time. I don't. Again, I don't generally don't buy movies that I hate. So
I have a question though, Dana.
yes,
So I can't remember what your rating was for Terror on Tour, but would it be higher than Madman or less?
it'd be higher, Chris. I ain't even gonna lie
Okay.
because I just find so much entertaining about Terror on Tour. I know
Because it's goofy in itself, but I will agree there was parts about I did like, but as far as watching it again, no real interest there.
and it's
But
not going to be by much. I would probably add a half on to Terror on Tour. Okay,
okay,
if I was comparing Madman and Terror on Tour. Okay, so it's not like I'm giving Terror on Tour a 5 and this one a 3.
I
So.
would never come on your show ever again
one
if you
more
gave it a 5.
question, Dana.
Oh, you would so.
I have one
Yeah,
more.
I'm lying. I like the attention. Anyway.
I have one more question, Dana. So,
Yes.
okay, let's say you're put in a situation that you had Madman, Terror on Tour, and Blood Harvest, but you had to get rid of one of them forever. Which one would it be?
Madman.
Wow.
Yeah. And I
I'd
know
say bye
how
to Tiny
you
Tim.
felt
Bye, Tiny Tim. Bye.
about Blood Harvest. You don't like Blood Harvest, do you, Chris?
I'm not I don't hate it, but it's not something I'm super interested in. Um, Now I know Candace loves it because it's Tiny Tim. She loves
Yeah,
all
yeah.
things Tiny Tim. But I don't know. It's just something about that movie that I just can't get interested in. And it's not Tiny Tim because I think he's probably the most interesting thing about that movie. I don't know what it is. I just it's hard for me to watch.
I'm gonna lie, it's not a good movie. I just find something infinitely entertaining about it.
Yeah. And I think everybody has that. one film or a couple films like that in their own lives.
I like incredibly strange creatures that stop living and came mixed up zombies.
There you go.
And people think that's like one of the worst. Mystery Science Theater did an episode on it, and it's like,
Yeah, I would
and I
imagine.
admit it's bad, but it's entertaining. There's music and really bad zombies that are not really zombies, and there's a fortune teller, and there's all this weird stuff, and it's like it's from like the '60s, and I was like, I love this. It's so bad, I like it. It's just so bad.
Well,
I gotta read what Alpha Romero says. Hey, Alpha Romero, by the way, he says, "Come on, guys, let's be real. The Burning is way better than Madman."
I mean, I would agree with that, but
If only the Dead Pit. I tried to get them to come on. I mentioned the stream to them yesterday on their Severin unboxing, and they was like, "What? You should see what TJ wrote in the thing. What did TJ write?" And I was like, "Oh." And then they was like, "Huh, we should do that." And like, but I knew they weren't gonna. But
Right.
because like this would have been like, they would have been, Uncle Bill would have been like, "Now come on, Dana, you can't tell me that you like that." You know. Sorry, that was a bad impression. At least I got the accent.
That's okay. We can forgive you. You're from up north, TJ. So,
Yeah, I'm from North.
what an
From up
insult.
North.
no, I'm not trying to insult. I like TJ's accent. I don't always hear it, but when I do, it's like it's charming. I like it. I enjoy it.
Dana's like, you're not from around these parts, boy.
If I had to, I could fake it. Like if I was at a bar drinking, I could probably go, how you all doing?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what like dialect I was doing, but I'd be I was vaguely Southern. You would get that at least. That's my city, vaguely Texas.
Alvaro says Northerners should never do a Southern accent, and probably vice versa. Southerners shouldn't do a Northern.
Well, now hold on there.
Okay, so does anybody want to? You can probably guess my rating for The Burning, right? Because
18.
TJ gave it away.
It's gonna be 5, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 5 deadites out of 5 because
You need like a stinger that comes up whenever you do 5. Like
when I do 5 deadites out of 5.
5 is just such a rare rating for me. I think the only movie that I've given a 5 on here is Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, I believe so, Chris.
Really, 5 for Sleepaway Camp?
Yeah, I love Sleepaway Camp. Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. I love it.
I like the movie, but I'm like 5. Like I'd fit around the same thing, like 3.5, 4, maybe 3 and 3 and
Well,
quarter.
if I was doing like an unbiased thing, I maybe, but like just
Yeah, okay.
have a personal preference, like
Mhm.
yeah, it's top tier for me, man.
Well, do y'all have anything you want to promote, announce, anything like that?
How's your channel going, Crater? Your channels.
Yeah, I got a channel. Me and Candace have a channel that kind of happens every now and then. we
Well, I
always,
know you guys have been busy. Y'all been
yeah, that's the thing, and I apologize for anybody that's listening that does follow our channel. We've just had a bunch of stuff going on here lately that has permitted us, or has it's kept us from doing the videos that we promised we put out. I think it's been like 2 weeks since we put out a video, and we did both a video for Terror Vision and Video Dead, and we've been doing like all this remodeling and just different stuff around the house, and we our nephews are in right now, so it's kind of hard to schedule stuff that when they're in, because we only get to see them for like a limited amount of time. Like they're with us for like a week and a half or something, and then they got to go back to Louisville, and then they're there for like a week and a half to 2 weeks, and then they get to come back to us. It's kind of back and forth.
and they got a big birthday party coming up.
Yeah, we're doing that Saturday. I'm not sure what time. I know it's in the evening sometime. But yeah, their birthdays were just a couple weeks ago, but like they weren't here with us at the time. So we just said, well, okay, we're going to do a party for them when they come back. And then this Saturday, I'm also doing a local toy show. It's like I forget what he called it. It's like the first annual like collectors trade show or something. They're doing it up at the flea market here in Hazard, and like the guy that's running it knows that I'm like, one of the like local collectors, and I have stuff that I sell every now and then. He's like, hey, if you want to come do this thing we're doing on Saturday for the toy collectors, you can have a free table. And I was like, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like, I think from like 10 to 2 on Saturday. So yeah, I'm hoping I do all right with that.
Oh, I bet you will, Chris. I need to get you hooked up with my dad. My dad, since he retired, he goes around buying and selling.
Yeah, I know. You told me he's living the dream.
Living the dream. He loves it. He absolutely
That's
loves
yeah,
it.
I would too. But
And
I
he,
have to
like,
work a regular job. I can't do that stuff right now,
mom,
at least.
mom would tell me, do you know how much your dad made this weekend? And I say no. And she tells me, and I'm like, holy crap, me and Steve are both in the wrong business.
That's 100% what I'm doing, though. As soon as I go into retirement, I'm like, just going to be out on the prowl, like 24/7, looking for yard sales and estate sales and shit like that.
Speaking of jobs, I can feel like I can say this. I may have announced it on another stream, and if I have, y'all please just bear with me. And Chris knows, and Candace knows. They probably know what I'm going to say here. But Steve had an opportunity to get a job, still working for Ford and still working for the same contracting company, but he's going to be making significantly more money. I'm not going to brag and say how much. I won't be like that, but it's going to really help us out. So, if
$100 million.
not quite that much, but
That'd be awesome.
So we won't be hearing stories where Steve is saying, "Now, Dana, why do you keep buying that stuff?"
hopefully not. Hopefully the days of that are behind us.
No,
The
that's Steve's still gonna do that. Let's be honest.
the days of us arguing over money, I hope is over.
Well, it sucks when that happens though, cause like
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be honest, like me and Candace have done it. I think most couples that exist have done that. Uh, it's not fun, but it's ultimately it's not like it's not important. It's not as important as you just being here.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
speaking of buying things, am I the only one that bought Kathy's Curse on Blu-ray on 4K or whatever it was?
Did you get that light up
I
box?
know what I'm not getting it till Monday for some reason. I guess if you
Oh.
ordered like the whole, they have those special. If you buy a whole whatever, a bunch of DVDs or whatever, you get them already. But yeah, my shipment's supposed to come Monday, and I'm like, am I going to get one of the boxes that works? Or am I going to get one of the boxes that don't work?
You're gonna get the defective one.
Because Uncle Bill's got one that it worked when he first started playing with it, but he was playing with it the whole show, and I think he might have messed it up. And then I know Garrett got one, and it didn't work at all. So after I got the confirmation that
I want a damn box that works.
I want to have one that works. That would be nice because I have enough problems that I would like something nice to happen. So I was like, because it was like I got the oh we're shipping your thing out. It's gonna come the 24th or whatever. Like oh cool. And then I got here's $10 gift certificate because some of the boxes weren't up to our satisfaction of quality.
I'd be like, well, why the hell not?
Yeah, I'm like, well, send them back to the manufacturer. Tell them to make them properly. We'll have to, fine if your people who work who buy things from you have to wait a little bit because of a manufacturing thing, but they're just like, nah, we're just gonna ship out what we got and here's some $10, which I appreciate.
Laziness.
They could have just said nothing, but at least they gave us like $10, off our next order, which is like at least they did something instead of just going like a certain other company that just goes, yeah, is that what you got? Well, that's your problem. But still, it's like you should be able. That's how business works. The company that you hire didn't do their job. Aren't you supposed to say, hey, do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree, 100%.
so I'm gonna be like, am I gonna get one? Because maybe saying this right now, they are gonna send me a shitty one. But
I hope you get one that actually works, TJ. And
then again, I don't know how they made this one. Supposedly, there's a magnet, and the magnet stops it, and then when you take away the magnet, it starts making it light up.
huh.
Which the old days when they used to have those, old videotapes where they used to press the button and it went off for a couple of seconds and then it stopped. I guess maybe they couldn't figure out that technology, but like most nerds who have hobbies, who do they build stuff, you can set up lights and you can do it yourself. So how can this company not find somebody who can do something like this? It's like you can find anybody who can solder or put a battery in something can make some kind of LED thing. So I'm like, why would these that messed up? I don't, this is 2024. This isn't
Shoddy craftsmanship.
Yeah, you can't figure it out in 2024, but they can figure it out in 1987.
That's right.
Alpha Romero says, I think collecting VHS is starting to make a comeback. Is it? Because I mean, if you know anybody that does, send them my way, because I've got a storage unit with around 4,000 to 5,000 tapes in there.
Right.
I need to get rid of.
If you have something really rare, you could probably make a lot of money off of eBay because people selling things for ridiculous prices. I'm like, really? Like I was like, oh, let me buy a VHS of a certain movie. Like I was when you were talking about the shot on video thing, Dana, that you're going to be. You should have mentioned that. You're going to be doing that later in the week. I was like, oh, let me try to find like Cannibal Campout old VHS, and it's like $80, and I'm like, screw you! I ain't spending $80 on
there are some stuff
Blu-ray VHS box. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some stuff out there that's definitely got some good value to it, and I've kind of like took some of those. I looked through the ones that I have, and there's ones that I have picked out that I have sold. But most of what I have left is very like common, very cheap stuff. And I mean, the easy thing to do would be to just take it all to Goodwill and be like, oh, yeah, I'm free of it. But at the same time, I need to make some money, guys, for real.
Well, everybody wants to make some money. Let's be honest about that.
Anybody want to buy my
you got Chucky and Tiffany. What else you got there, TJ?
I got the Wednesday.
Oh, okay, cool.
I gotta get the rest of the.
I don't have any of the Wednesday ones yet, but I'm gonna because of the Toonie Terrors, I don't have any of the Wednesday ones. I don't have any of the Hocus Pocus ones.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't got the John Carver from Thanksgiving. Yeah, they just.
I got that one.
Yeah, I need to get that one. There's a few that I'm missing right now. So, and then I know that they got more coming out. They got those Universal Monsters Toonie Terrors coming out. So I've already got those pre-ordered though.
Blissful says maybe mystery boxes, Chris. That's what she.
I could do that, but I'm not really into like mystery boxes, because I mean I know I would be the one in this case making the mystery box, but like.
Yeah.
If anybody's like me, I like knowing what I'm getting.
I'm quite a bit like that too, Chris. I like to know what I'm getting. I used to get grab bags though when I was a kid.
Yeah, if that was the case, I could just like send a mystery box with like 10 copies of Sleepless in Seattle or something like that. Like there you go, it's a mystery box. Sorry, no refunds.
If I'm going to spend money on crap, I want to know ahead of time that it's crap. I don't want to learn afterwards that it's crap.
Right. Well, I guess I could show off my mouse pad that I made for myself.
Oh, there we go. I was waiting for that to show up.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad you fixed the Evil Dead part.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of funny when I had it like on that one stream. But yeah, what I did was I actually downloaded a wood font and just put Evil Dead Chick on there.
Yeah, that's cool.
But you can get
on sale at Dana's shop.
You can get your very own mouse pad soon on my Deadites on Deck shop. So
if you want custom shirts, go to Deadites on Deck. Dana will
Yeah, for real.
Wow.
Because
take your order.
Dana did some shirts, custom shirts for Candace for the birthday party we're putting on for our nephews.
and if they haven't already arrived, they should be arriving in the next day or so, Chris.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if they have no. I'd have to ask Candace if they have. She hasn't told me about them, but I know that I've seen the pictures of them and they look great. I really appreciate you doing that for us, Dana.
Every time I did one, I sent pictures to Candace so she could see exactly what they were going to look like. And I tell you, I was telling Candace and Chris that polyester, if you get 100% polyester, now I know some people don't like wearing 100% polyester shirts,
Mhm.
but if you get those, you cannot tell that image has been put on with a heat press. I mean, it looks like it's made into the material. It's the
So the
coolest thing.
transfer like shows up really good. Like,
Yeah, they
yeah,
really pop too. Yeah,
yeah, that's really awesome.
but well, I guess I'm got to go to work sadly in the morning, and I guess Chris has to
I
return to
do.
work,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
was
sure
off today, but
that TJ's going to be writing or doing something. He's going to be busy. I know.
I better stop
he's
talking
going
about it.
skiing.
I can stop talking about this shit and actually do it. Ooh, I swore. I'm sorry.
That wasn't really bad, TJ. So, but I do want to thank TJ and Chris for being on here with me tonight. It made it a lot more fun than just me up here just rambling on about the burning and Madman. I like to get different points of view. That's the whole purpose of the apples and oranges
Yeah.
stream. Is
Even though I couldn't give you a definitive answer on which one I like better.
That's okay. See, that goes back to the shining thing with me. You couldn't get
Even
me.
my name, I kind of cheated, like Madman Crops. I actually spelled it wrong. I didn't realize I spelled it wrong.
Man to man.
Put that on.
I pointed it out how wrong it was spelled. Great. That was stupid of me. Anyway.
Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says great live, guys. But I also want to thank everybody that was in the chat and kept the chat active tonight. There was a lot of good conversation in there.
There's a lot of people getting blocked too.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's somebody who was definitely the same person because they almost had the exact same name. I was like, okay,
Yeah, it felt a little bit suspicious. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah. And Russell, I wanted to point out that you said earlier that you always have fun in here, so I appreciate that, Russell.
Yeah,
I
man.
want everybody to have a good time in here. Like a troll. that would
I wish
be
we could. I wish we could go into the computer and punch them in the head. And then
Russell is from Canada too, right?
yeah.
Yeah, he's cool ass horror Canadian fans up there. Like, I haven't talked to these guys, but J Dog and Anthony that did Canadian Fair Rocks, that podcast
Yeah,
back in the day.
I love those guys. I
I
miss
love those guys. Yeah,
a great title, Canadian Ferox. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was their show for a while.
Yeah, they were. It was a good one. I wish you could find like archives of that show somewhere on the internet.
I think somewhere I probably have some of their old shows. I probably need.
Oh, that's right. You could
Patreon.
download them back in the day, couldn't you?
Yeah, because I downloaded a bunch of Steve's old girl cult shows and the Campbell.
If you find any of those, Dana, is there any way you could like put those on something and like I could get those from you?
Yeah, let me do a little searching, Chris. It might take a while to find them. They may very well be on my old computer that I don't have on very much.
I just wish those guys would make a comeback, like because they used to do that segment on their show called VHS Vault, and like Anthony like wrote like a song specially for that segment and everything. He's like, this is the VHS Vault. It was like this like 80s like hair metal type theme, and like they just would always like cover like really rare like VHS tapes and stuff. It's cool.
And J Dog, he worked at a prison.
Yeah, he did. That's
Oh,
right.
And I used to talk to him a lot at night. We would talk on did we talk on MSN Messenger or something like that? I can't I think it was MSN
I
Messenger.
think I had him on something like that too. He was I think his real name is like Jason something. But
Yeah, Jason.
but yeah, he was always super cool. Like I was always talking to him like on one of those messenger things back in the day too. About random like he was a big hockey fan too, so we'd always talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. He was a really cool guy. I gotta tell this one story though of one night when I was talking to him real late and he said, "I'll be right back. I gotta go check on the prisoners." And he was gone for a long time. And when he came back, he said, yeah, one of the prisoners hit him in the back of the head and
Oh
nearly
wow.
knocked him out. So
seriously.
Dang.
I mean, I was like saying, I said, and you're coming back to talk to me. I said, you better lay down
That
somewhere.
I mean that can happen. It's very like my dad used to work in a prison years ago. And he would and before he worked in the prison, he worked in a like a juvenile detention center. And like that and I asked him once, I was like, which one made you more nervous, working in the prison or working in that juvenile detention? He says every time that juvenile detention center
Oh,
because like they were young kids, but they were like really bad kids to be have been in there, and apparently they were super hard to handle.
yeah.
Yeah, kids who have bad breaks in life at that age, they think they're invincible.
Yeah,
So I think, yeah, like the younger juvenile, I'm sure, is more dangerous than the old guy in 80-year-old guy, 70-year-old guy in prison.
Yeah. What's he going to do to you? But I'm guessing that J Dog got attacked by some younger prisoners. I would
man,
imagine.
that sucks. I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
It was like I was getting worried about him because, like, he was, usually he would say, "I'm gonna go away," and he'd be right back in 2 to 5 minutes. And this time it was like 30 minutes.
Oh wow.
Or and he he came back. He said, "Yeah, I got to put something on the back of my head because one of them whacked me on the back of the head." And I was like, "Damn, you're in a dangerous place."
Yeah, who knew a prisoner could do something like that? Sorry. That was a terrible joke, but he's alive, so that's good.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, J Dog's still.
Yeah, that's weird when someone disappears off of online and you're just like, you don't know where else, especially if that's the only way you ever made
Yeah,
contact with them. It's like they just disappear, and it's like,
I think.
like
I
I mean,
think.
that's happened with people I've known, but it's like, um, always bring up Miko Macabre. I'm like, what happened to her?
Yeah, I think with J Dog, what happened to him was he just got busy with other things. I think he may have gotten a real serious girlfriend
Yeah,
and stuff
Well, I
like
mean that I think that's life. That's happens to a lot of
yeah,
people. Like I went several years with being where I didn't go to conventions for a while. I wasn't like listening to any kind of like horror podcast or anything like that. Like a thing that I was usually doing for years and years, but then I just kind of and this was like probably in the early years that Noah was very young. So I was really preoccupied with just family stuff most of the time. But as Noah was getting older, I could kind of slip back into that
mm.
stuff with the horror community and stuff. And I actually got him interested in it now because he's starting to go to conventions with us and stuff now.
I love watching Noah at those conventions. It's just so much fun to watch him. That youth and vitality and all us old people's going around. We're tired, our feet hurt, and Noah's like, he's happy about
Well,
it.
his feet hurt too. He's flat footed, so
Yeah, poor
after a
thing.
while he'll start complaining too.
But the thing, and I've told Candace about this too, is Noah sees. I mean, he's a kid, so he sees everything like a kid.
Yeah,
Everything is fresh and new, and we've kind of seen it all, been there, done that. We're case hardened, and he's not yet, and so I hope he's able to keep that youthful vibrance for
me
a
too.
long while.
Me too. because he's getting too old on me too fast, and I don't like it.
Yeah, y'all gonna turn around, you'll be 16 and driving, Chris.
No, nope, don't
No.
want to think about it. Nope.
And then it'll be girlfriends at some point.
Yeah, it's it's
And then Chris will have to have the talk with him, when the girlfriend starts.
actually nowadays I probably won't because like these kids and the internet and stuff, they know
Oh
everything
my
before we
gosh,
even
yeah,
let them
that's
know.
not scary, but
Yeah, it's crazy. Like he's like I'm a big horror fan and like I have horror stuff all over and but at a very young age he didn't know what those movies were, but he knew who Freddy Krueger was. He knew who Jason Voorhees was. He knew who Michael Myers was, and that was not from me. That was not from Candace. He just like learned this from like YouTube and whatever else he's getting on. And it can be scary sometimes because like there may be like some really like dark stuff out there that I don't want him to find out about it, but he can find out on his own because the internet can like just has everything out there. You know what I mean?
yes, it does. It most certainly does.
Hmm.
But I guess we'll get off here because, as usual, I've been drinking this Mountain Dew here, and I've got to go to the restroom.
I gotta go piss.
It wouldn't be a stream with me on it if I didn't have to go to the restroom at
If
some
it
There's
would
gonna
be
be
a
another
stream
stream
if you didn't have to
soon after we get off. There's gonna be a stream.
go. Yeah, it wouldn't be a stream if you didn't have to go stream.
Exactly. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here for the night. I hope everybody had a good time watching me and TJ and Chris discuss the
Yeah.
Burning and Madman. I don't know what the next apples and oranges is going to be. Hopefully, I'll decide on it at some point. But I just want to say, as I've been saying, uh, as Ducky says in Pretty in Pink, we're all off like a dirty shirt. And I want to remind everybody to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. And everybody have a great night and a fantastic Wednesday or a fantastic Thursday. Sorry, off on my days there.
Wait a minute. It's fine.
Fantastic Thursday. We're getting ever closer to the weekend, guys.
Oh
And
yeah.
Woo, weekend.
yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I've had a rough 2 or 3 weeks. So,
Mm.
but anyway, we're out of here and we'll see everybody next time. So, bye, everybody.
How about it?
Later.